Good evening and welcome everybody. It is the finale of this year's development series here in ASR. And more importantly, it kicks off a massive 3 days of Bathurst action. So we've got the development series tonight, so Super 2 and Super 3 with titles on the line to be decided tonight. Qualifying tomorrow night for the showpiece on Sunday afternoon, the Bathurst 500. And a number of these drivers, well, they'll be on double duty. So they're just looking to get the seat mileage up and get to the finish line before they tackle the mountain for 81 laps on Sunday. But then there's a couple of wildcards and jokers in the pack, the ones that are fighting at the front of both the Super 2 and the Super 3 standings here tonight. And well, one of them is going to need a little bit of help and the other one is, well, still going to need some help, but it's a little bit closer than the Super 2 series. It's been a bit of back and forth all season long between the number of drivers in both the categories. We look forward to culminating it here tonight with a slightly revised format. 100 kilometres, that's why it is the Bathurst 100 for the development series drivers. 16 laps as opposed to 3 races of a set duration. There's just the one race tonight. Gets them in the mood and in the spirit of things for the festivities across the weekend. Well, you've all known my voice for some time. My name's Steve DeVries, but and this of course is Outworld Broadcasting, but it's a little bit of a different flavour tonight. We're broadcasting over here because of the Bathurst 500 across the weekend, but what we are going to do is hand it over to the men who have graced the Loose Sim Network for the better part of the season, and they've done a fantastic job with the development series this year. It's over to Lewis Wedding and NZ Snipes, or aka Kane Gray. Gentlemen, a very good evening to both of you.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks for the big intro. I'll say I've done an okay job. Snipes has done a great job, and you've done all the broadcast packages for us, which has made it super easy for me trying to get it ready during the week. So thanks for obviously all your hard work getting all that stuff ready. And yeah, it's going to be a very interesting night of racing, a big lead up to, of course, what is, one of the biggest weekends of the year here in the group with obviously the big Bathurst 500 this weekend. And yeah, as you said, number of drivers, or most of the drivers, I'd say, I think, are doubling up. So it's going to be an interesting show. Both the championships are still up for grabs, although both of them still firmly, in each class has a driver that has one hand on the cup. But we've seen it many times where drivers have snatched victory. They've snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Probably completely butchered that, but yeah, we've seen it many times in sim racing and in real life where drivers look like they've had it in the bag, and at the last moment or the last race, some drama has unfolded, and we've got the unpredictable outcome. Obviously, memories of 2007 in Formula One and 2008 as well. You've got 2010 in supercars, as well as 2017, where right at the last gasp, we had championship deciders decided right at the end. So again, that could happen here. And Snipes, I think you're here with us as well. Good to have you. And well, what a massive start to a massive weekend.
Certainly, right back in the nick of time, Lewis? Getting here just in time for the broadcast. It will be a massive weekend. Many of these entrants tonight, of course, racing in the Bathurst 500 throughout the weekend. So it should be really exciting to see a bit of a form guide early, perhaps, as we look forward towards the next set of races in the Bathurst 500. But of course, there is a championship on the line here. There is 2 of them ready to go. Who will Lockie Lock be able to sew it up tonight? He just kind of needs to finish, I'd say. If he finishes and he's not in a terrible spot, he will be able to sew it up. But it is Bathurst. Crazy things can happen. People can hit walls everywhere.
Yeah, I think all he needs to do is finish 14th or above. I think it might be 14th or 15th or above, and it doesn't matter where Hickinson finishes. So as we can see on our screen there, 2,330 points placed, 2,154. Both drivers have been caught up in various incidents throughout the year. We've had Cheese has been pretty consistent, but has also had 1 or 2 really bad rounds that have cost him. So he's just out of it. Was pipped that last race there. That sort of just knocked him out of any real contention. And then we have Darren Kemp in 4th, Justin Sessler, I should say, in 5th with In sixth place, Zach Brown has been a driver, Snipes, that's improved massively throughout the year, and he's going to be one of the drivers to watch tonight, as well as the guy in seventh, Noah Tara, who's been blindingly fast throughout practice.
Yeah, Noah Turra is frankly intimidating around the circuit at this point. I believe he's posted a 4 in the practice servers, which is absolutely out the gate fast. And yeah, I think he's going to be a heavy favorite to win this race tonight if he can keep it clean. But yeah, Zach Brown, to your point, Lewis, his form throughout the year, in fact, just since he started with ASR, has grown massively, and now he is a genuine front-running contender in this series. And he has been, when he's had the time to get a little bit of practice in, he's been up the front, and even when he hasn't got practice in, he's still been quick. So yeah, he's definitely one to watch, of course, tonight and into the future. Of course, tonight we're going to see a few drivers probably racing their last races in this series. A notable mention with that, Lewis, is Bailey Hall. Of course, he's come in midway through the season. You see him 8th there in the points, but he's come in and he immediately showed his class. So I fancy a promotion to main game is headed right up his way.
Yeah, one of a number of drivers that will be getting the old bump up, one would suspect. But as we flip over the page, we've got Matt Cecil there on 1,400 points. He's got Luke Yeager not too far behind. And then, of course, the first of the Super 3 drivers with Benjamin Rhodes, a.k.a. Rhodey, there for PBF Scotch Smugglers, 1,216 points. He's got Ayrton Filippi between himself and his championship rival, Darren Lachlan, who wasn't scheduled to actually be here, but has been able to jump in and race tonight, which is good to see. So there will be a championship fight for Super 3 as well as Super 2 tonight. So it will be interesting if Darren can find a little bit of pace, or perhaps there's a couple DNFs or just a couple drives get caught up late in the in the Super 2 category, and he's ahead of Rhodey. He could find himself with the point structure here, Snipes, where he could end up jumping Rhodey. So that championship battle, it's not over. Even though you look at it, or even though he's been rather pessimistic sort of after Pukekohe, he is still a very good chance if a couple things go his way tonight.
Absolutely, Lewis. And the first thing that needs to go his way is pace. And let's say right now, based on the practice server times and the times we've seen so far throughout the week, he's got it. He's got a couple of seconds over Rhodey. Can he convert that into meaningful position gain over Rhodey to claw back positions? He will be hoping for Rhodey to have a bad race, I'd say, in order for him to really get up there. And he will need to have a bit of a blinder, but he's certainly not out of the hunt there. So it's one that's interesting to see for sure.
And that's all you want, really. You want championships to come down to that final race with both drivers still realistically in with a shot. Now, in Super 2, it might not quite, isn't quite the case, but here in Super 3, I think it is the case, where all it takes is, just a couple positions between, a couple cars between Rhodey and Lachlan, and it can be decided. Another thing as well, sort of note, with Noah Tara's form, he hasn't driven every round, as we've seen, but when he has shown up, particularly the second half of the year, Snipes, he's if he gets pole tonight, he'll match Ben Hall's record. He set the tone early for pole positions. Fastest laps, he can go just behind Ben Hall, but if he does win as well, he will take the most wins of the season as well on 9. With Higginson, he's tied currently with Nathan Higginson on 8, but quite amazing considering obviously he hasn't shown up for quite a number of rounds, but fair effort, and as we can see, showing his quality. As this week, of course, it is the final round, so we'll flick over the page and we go all the way down to 30th now. Reece McGillivray, another late comer for Starrett Sim Sports, 712 points, just ahead of Brian Walsh, who was in, out. But I think he was in the server before. I'm not sure if he is racing tonight. But just hearing that he is out. And we have Phil Donny, showed up early in the season. He's been absent for a while. Damo. And then we have Christian Alvarez. Phil Boat, who's been unable to join us for the second half of the year due to family commitments. And then we have Steve DeVries, of course, is a guest driver in and out as well. And then we have Brandon Dostal, Cracker, who's been absent for a bit of the season tonight, but was able to make an appearance last time out and did a fairly decent job, as well as Glenn Miles there in 30th place.
Yeah, in regards to Cracker, when he's been racing, he's actually been challenging the front of the Super 3 field. So, when he is present for a race, he can certainly press some of these top Super 3 drivers. I don't believe he's present tonight, though. So, oh no, he is present tonight. I apologize. He was in the server a bit earlier, so I expect we'll see him very soon for qualifying. He might be able to just shake up the game in the top few Super 3 cars, I think.
Yeah, he's certainly one. He's normally one that, as the race nights go on, he's able to find a little bit more speed. But with there being only one race tonight, he's going to have to find it pretty quickly. Just seeing if he's set a lap time in this current shortened practice session after the driver's briefing, and currently not in the server. But as we can see here, 2:05.9 in the current session. That's still a pretty damn fast lap time, Snipes, regardless of if it's a qualifying or a race lap time, considering the times that we've seen in development and Super 2 series in the past.
Yeah, that's that's a bit quicker than I currently am right now, if I'm to be honest. Quite a bit quicker. I'm quite slow at this point. Yeah, it's no, some really good speed coming out from these development series drivers. Peter Thrower in particular, who set that 5.9, showing his pace as we look towards the track map of course, Mount Panorama. An incredible circuit, this one, isn't it, Lewis? So much pace, so much danger. It's real risk and reward stuff.
Yeah, it certainly is. Number of drivers, good circuits have consequences. I can't remember if that was Scape or was Brock or it was even both of them. But and this is one of those circuits. You've got that really good flow coming out of turn 6 and 7 up there at Reed Park. Go through the Great McPhillamy, and then you're dancing all the way down from Skyline, and then you've got all the camber changes, and it's just it's just an incredibly fun track to drive even by yourself. And then you add 20 other cars out there, you add championship implications, and it's just and even obviously in real life, the prestige of winning, whether it be a 500 for us or in real life the 1000. So add all that together, and it's just a magical place. So there we go, 23 corners for the drivers to tame tonight. And as you can see with both the race and qualifying lap records here there tonight, 2:05.5 is the qualifying record. Now that was with soft tyres still available, and I believe that was on the old ORSM Patrick conversion. This is on obviously the ACC laser scanned circuit. The other one's probably a little bit more difficult, but with this, being hard tyres and the lap times we're seeing, it's a very good effort from these guys to get anywhere close to that.
Some of the pace coming out of this field is freakish, and these records are very much, if Noah can put it together, I'd say then the qualifying is at risk. Race record, I think, will be a bit more of a press. You're going to be running on full fuel unless someone's doing a hot lap at the end. I'd say on low fuel, but it's going to be hard to do that sort of pace early.
Well, I think with the way fuel is around this circuit, these guys are going to have. There is no compulsory pit stop for these guys, but they will have to stop on probably lap 11, around about lap 11. Some might come in early on 9 or 10, and maybe some might even extend it to 12. And if they're really fuel saving, or if there's a safety car, they might get to 13 or 14. But those last few laps, because if you do pit and put fuel in the thing, you want to put tyres on it just in case there's a safety car, because of course it is the green-white checker in play. And you're going to have a rocket ship, brand new tyres with, only 4 or 5 laps of fuel on board, half a tank or so. Like, you're going to be setting some quick lap times. So it will be worth putting those new tyres on. So even the race lap record, I don't think we'll see it in the first stint, but certainly after the pit stops, we could see 1 or 2 drivers getting close to that 2:05.5 that Tim Redmond set back in 2021.
That'll be a pretty prestigious title to be grabbing. It would certainly be a great effort from any of these drivers on the field. That actually brings us to another point there, Lewis. Pit stops. The Super 2 drivers, development series drivers, largely haven't had to deal with them for a lot of their races. But this, of course, being a considerably longer race than their usual, they will have to deal with it. We may see some mistakes throughout the race.
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that a number of the drivers that had only done the developed series and had come from other sims, and even those that hadn't really done much racing before, they'd not done pit stops before. So we saw it at Phillip Island in the Enduro a month or so back. These guys jumped in and they didn't get their pit stops right, or they ran into people in the pit lane thinking because they'd come from other sims where you could drive through other cars in the pits. So they weren't used to the whole pit stops and how to sort it out. And those that have been around for a little while are going to realize that you tank this thing up at the start and you only put in the fuel you need because it is a long pit stop with the fuel. So those that do overfuel, they'll make it to the end, but they're going to lose quite a few seconds in that pit stop sequence. So we'll find out those who have been practicing or done a couple pit stops in the past to those that haven't, which obviously these guys that have stuck mainly here in the dev series, they wouldn't have done any pit stops outside of when they've had damage.
Absolutely. So that's certainly going to toss an interesting formula into the salad here. We got like something like 26, 27 drivers here tonight. So they've all showed up for the last round. An excellent effort from the development series field. And can I just say quickly, I think while there is always mistakes in development series, it has been an excellent season overall to at least call. So I'm looking forward to this last one.
Yep, there's been a massive field of cars that have driven throughout the year, and we've been able to maintain the numbers. And I did say in the drivers briefing, big thank you to all the drivers for showing up and giving us those consistent numbers. Yeah, at times it's been a little bit argy-bargy with drivers attempting some maneuvers or doing some things that are a little bit silly, but that's why it's called a development series. It's not a main championship, and it's a place for these guys to live and learn, as well as pick up their racecraft in a hope that down the track that they do race in the main series, or just become solid co-drivers when we do the endurance events. But just about to go over to qualifying. We are just waiting on a couple guys at the moment to get back in. We have been having during the week a couple issues, but we are about to get underway in the next minute or so. Just once a handful of guys get back into the server, but it's not. We do have a little bit of downtime before this qualifying session. I know, my memory is not the greatest. Half the time I can't remember what even happened in the last race. If you ask me about Pukekohe, I could tell you not really anything. But
Challenging me.
I'm gonna challenge you here. I guess what's
Oh,
been
dear, oh, dear.
your highlights or highlight of the season so far, or the season has been?
The season that has been, it's actually been, it seems almost obvious to point it out, but the step up in ability for a lot of these drivers. Someone like Lockie Lock, I think, came into this championship with some plaudits and he'd improved, but he really is solidified himself as like a genuine contender in the series, and he could wrap it all up tonight. And I think that for a lot of people that would have been quite unexpected. Not that he wasn't quick, because he's definitely been improving throughout his whole time here, but for him to be so consistent all year, have very few bad races. I realize it's not cheating; it's a bit cheating picking a moment, but not picking a moment. But it's genuinely really impressive, Lewis, to see the step up in ability, in racecraft, in defending, and for pretty much all of the year, bar a few incidents, he's kept it really clean, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, and I think as we're just about to tick over, or we have ticked over to qualifying, but we will get some server sync issues. So I'll go. I guess my response to that. I mean, deservedly in the championship lead, it has to be said. Higginson, it has to be said, he's had speed throughout the year. Obviously, he's equal with 8 wins with Noah Tara, so the most amount throughout the year. But consistency has shown out in the end, well, at least till this point, for Locke, being so far ahead in the championship. He's made less mistakes. He has been caught up in stuff, he has, but at the same time, he hasn't gone on and had those catastrophic rounds which can, or as many catastrophic rounds which can ruin a championship. So Higginson, he'll be reflecting, I think, after tonight, unless a miracle happens, which again, it could, over a number of races and rounds where he was in good positions and threw it away. Well, Locke, he can go and look back and say, hey, I may have made mistakes in these races, but I minimized them and only lost out this many positions, or I was able to fight myself back to this position and didn't make another one. So, none of these drivers learning the hard way that, it's not always about being the fastest driver out there. And Locke is definitely one of those guys. And then Yeah, as you said, the development point of view is great to see. Locke isn't the only one out there. Obviously, did mention Zach Brown. He was one. Miguel Ray was another one. He was obviously jumped in. His first sort of round or two is solid, but as he's done more rounds, he's gotten faster and faster. Um, and the same can also be said with a couple of the other new guys. Obviously, Bailey Hall was his first round was solid, um, and then after that, he just got better and better and better. So here's another one that's going to be one to look out for. As here we go, qualifying now underway for the final time in 2022 for the ASR Development Series.
So who's going to be able to take the illustrious Bathurst pole position? It'll be all eyes on the favourite as we see him rolling through here. I believe Noah Tara, he will be firm in the box seat to be collecting it. But, you know, it is the mountain. Things can go wrong. It can be really hard to string that lap together here. And, you know, it's 10 minutes. But that's
15
15 minutes, I apologize, but that's still not very many goes at it. That's not very many goes, noting also qualifying fuel is usually a lower fuel load as well. So you're only going to get one or two laps out of a run, and then you're going to be able to maybe do one lap again kind of thing, and you'll be out of time.
Yeah, you're going to have to decide very early if you're going to abort a lap or not, because an out lap, you know, you got to take into consideration, depending on where you are in particular in the pit lane, it can take upwards of 2 minutes and 30 seconds to just complete an out lap. From, you know, clicking race to then ending up out in, you know, starting a lap. And then, of course, you know, an average lap time for all the drivers, you know, from first down to, you know, the last guy, probably going to be about 2 minute 9, 2 minute 10 seconds overall. You know, you got traffic to throw in there as well. Yeah, you're only going to have maybe, if all things go your way, maybe 6 or 7 shots at it. But that's if you know, escape early and decide that you got to restart your lap.
Well, it looks like we're looking at Nathan Higginson here. He's starting to get it a bit squirrely already, making sure his rear tyres are warm before he gets to his first lap. You'll just be wanting to set a banker. I mean, you want to drive fast every time, but get a lap on the board early is important. He lights it up a little bit out of the last corner, heading down to 1 now. Let's see what he can do through here.
Yeah, this is where you really set the tone for the lap. He has just got the nose in there. Not the worst run through turn 1, but you don't really have a delta to really work off, which is really handy when you're driving. Come out of turn 1. Sometimes you know you've absolutely nailed it, you're going to be up. Sometimes you don't. But here we go, turn 2. You've got to get it right to the inside and use the camber of the road there, otherwise you'll wash out, run wide and lose time. A little bit squirrely on the exit, maybe even just raise the wall there. Here we go. The cutting, did seem to have a bit of an incident there in practice, able to get through there quite nicely, has to be said there, Snipes. And so far, it's been pretty solid here, Snipes.
Yeah, absolutely. He's found good time through turn 2 in the cutting, and definitely on the limit a little bit there out of Silman down through the straight now, and looks reasonably tight. He's have a bit of a wiggle actually. Looking through McPhillamy now, he's still sliding. His right rear is on fire. Now, all important part down here, obviously over Skyline, down towards the dipper, through the S's. Will he get it turned in for it? He does. Probably a bit wider than he'd like to be, but still a reasonable effort through the top of the mountain there, Lewis.
And he's got so far the fastest first sector of everyone at the moment, 52.9. That's a very good first sector, particularly with these locks set up for these cars. It's all over the road there, glancing the wall. 27.3 in the middle sector. That's pretty solid as well. 34.4. Have seen drivers go faster in the middle sector in the practice session, but at least it's going to be a solid banker if he doesn't throw it off at the chase.
Yeah, all important braking zone here. It's very hard to get it right, to get it on the limit. He pulls it up. Will he get his nose in? He does. He hits the curb, decides that's the line he wants through it. It'll be a short shift, you'd imagine. And he looked pretty tidy out of there. So I'm thinking if he can pull it up for the last corner here, he's looking reasonable.
And you're looking at a high 5 if he can get that final sector right, and it is 5.7 even. So very good banker lap for Nathan Higginson. Of course, we have seen Noah Tara go very, very quick in the practice session, but that is still going to be a difficult time to beat, and he's going to put himself, I reckon, even with that time already, he's going to put himself within the first row. Well, I reckon the front row even just about.
Yeah, that's the second fastest lap time, or second fastest person to set a lap all week. He set his personal best there. That was no banker right there. That was on absolute fire as we're spectating Darren Kemp pulling it up through the chase. A little bit of traffic in front of him. Shouldn't bother him though. Should be able to get through just fine. He's looking all right through the first couple of sectors. Probably a couple of seconds off the pace and where he'd like to be, but you know, this will just be a banker for him.
And he's probably going to want to go back to the pit. He's got a couple of cars in front of him now. As you see, Lockie Lock also come to the line. He goes into P5. He did have Noah Turra go to P2. So 7-9 for Lock. He's going to want to find a little bit more time. But then again, all he needs to do really is finish, I think, 14th or 15th and above. And he will be the champion if he doesn't pick up any penalties. So he just needs to just put in some decent laps and have a clean race. We've got Bailey Hall in P4, and Hayden Link is set a very handy lap time there to go P3 in the Hooters car as well. As we look at Steve Warwick into the final turn. And he goes into P6.
Pretty good effort from Steve there. Now quickly, we've got Turra who's set purple through the first sector here. I'm curious as to whether he's going to push on with it, but he's certainly looking mighty fast.
That is a very fast first sector. That is a good 3 to 4 tenths faster than what Higginson was able to manage on his flyer. And a 26.8. There we go. That's a massive amount of time. This is shades of 2003. It's top 10 shootout here. Of course, he did look like he lost a bit of time in the last sector on his last lap. So what can he manage here? Or just runs wide a little bit, didn't quite get the nose in.
Kicked out a bit there too. Sorry, Lewis, in front of you. But look, this is still going to be a monster of a lap time. I feel Noah Turra is about to absolutely lay down the gauntlet.
Bang.
That is a qualifying record, Lewis. A 2:05.2. Massive.
He smashed it by 3/10 of a second as well, and he's got at least 2/10, I reckon, in that last sector just at the chase alone. So that's quite scary for the rest of the field. There's more time in it. We have seen him, of course, do a 4.897 in the practice server during the week, but yeah, that is a very, very intimidating lap time for these drivers to try and beat.
So we've got Hayden Link, one of our reasonably new drivers to the series. He's up in 5th right now, representing Super 3, so that is certainly some pace. He's currently in front of the likes of Bailey Hall and Lockie Lock, so he's certainly showing a bit of toe here this evening as we look through down, over Skyline through the S's. Looks reasonably tidy.
Yeah, nice little run. I think he dropped maybe a little bit too slow there at the dipper, but it's still going to be a solid lap time. Oh, locked the rears. He's locked the rears. That's going to cost him dearly. What's the sector time going to say? He's still up on his own time, but even that little lock up and not being on the power, it's probably going to cost him a tenth, maybe even a tenth and a half or 2 tenths all the way down Humes at the chase. It's all about how he's able to pull it up now, see if he can rectify any of that time he just lost.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you want to do that. Will he push that little bit harder to try and make up for the time he did lose? Will he still be green coming across the line? You'd fancy probably, if he keeps it clean, he probably will be, but it might be a little bit tighter than it otherwise could have been. He was looking really good there.
All he needs is just over a tenth and a half, and he can get himself just ahead of Pete Thrower as well. So he just needs to keep it steady, and he was able to actually find a bit of time in that final sector. So he's even got a couple extra tenths.
Got Cecil in the fence here, it seems. Let's have a quick look at what's happened here as we go to a replay, Lewis. He's coming down Conrod and through the chase. You reckon he's caught the grass or just lost it under brakes?
Have a look here. Got the nose in. Oh, he's bounced it. That's unsettled the car. Yeah, it's just a bit too much curb, and he's tried to carry the throttle, and that's unsettled the car. Or yeah, getting on the power while the car was bouncing. Generally not a good idea. In massively powered, under-tired motor vehicles.
Bit of a look at Brap here. He's finding himself down in P12 in this qualifying session, which is actually a reasonable result, I'd say. He'll be trying to gun for the top 10. He's reasonably tidy through the first couple of corners. Looks bit of a wiggle on the way out, but hey, that's all right. It's Bathurst. It's what you're meant to do. If you're not wiggling, you're not doing it right?
Yeah, that's right. And it's not really like turn 2. Like if you get it a little bit sideways on the exit, it's not too bad. The cutting in turn 1 is where you lose the majority of the time. And he's able to find a little bit of time on himself there, but still a bit more time in it as he's sideways into the wall. But you know the damage is pretty low, so he's going to keep his foot planted. And he's moments from disaster. We've got a car off as well. That's Lockie Lock. That looks like he's had an accident.
Oh my lord, that was the longest crash I think I ever did watch, Lewis. That was happening for a good few corners there. But hey, he kept it out of the... Oh no, he didn't keep it out of the fence. He kept it out of the fence at the end though, so good effort there. As we spectate our Super 3 Championship leader, Rody, who finds himself down in 23rd of 24 qualifiers. We've had a couple drop out, unfortunately, and he's certainly going to have to do a little bit of work if he wants to make inroads on Darren Loughlin, who finds himself in 11th.
Yeah, Loughlin in 11th there. Now, I'll need someone with a little bit more nous and someone that does have the information and is decent at math to tell me, like, if they were to finish in those positions, they probably won't, but if they were to finish in those positions, you know, what would the championship order be? I'd say Loughlin might even be in front in that situation. So it is, of course, double points. Well, in essence, double points because it is a longer single race as opposed to 3 races. So, in fact, it's triple the amount of points. My bad. But,
math.
Yes, quick maths. So Rody does need to find time. He does have some Super 2 cars in front, which you'd expect to drive away from him. But at the same time, they might even help him. If he's able to sort of get close enough to them, he might be able to follow their lines and actually find a little bit of time. So this is a very important lap for Rody. If he mucks it up, he has to bail straight away unless he's got fuel in the tank. But I'd be going back to the pits as soon as possible and putting a set of pressures on. But here we go. At the first split, Rody is 4 seconds up on his own time, which is definitely what you want. He's probably going to need to find a little bit more time than that.
We're hearing from the producer he needs another couple of seconds to get himself kind of within contention, really, but nevertheless just needs to... even improvement of 4 seconds is only going to net him a couple of spots, you see, which really is not very ideal for him. Looks reasonably clean down the mountain. Let's see what he looks like coming through the second sector. A little bit underpowered, you'd have to say, out of the elbow, but he's got 5.2 in hand.
He's 3.4 off of the leader. 3.413, and Darren Loughlin is 3.472, so he's going to have to match Noah Tara in the final sector if he wants to get, obviously, right next to Darren Loughlin, but he just really needs to get close enough here. So even if he just gives up a few tenths and he's only a position or 2 away, it'll be enough for Rody, but he has to get this last corner right. He won't have time to press escape and go back to the pit, so he needs to finish this lap and hope he's got enough fuel to complete.
See what it is, 2:09.6. That puts him up to 17th, which is, you know, a little bit more favourable than 23rd, and definitely a bit better stead. That's it. He's parking it, so 17th at best for Rody. Obviously, that's relying on a bunch of people behind him not improving. Now, there is pace behind him that can improve, I fancy. You know, seasoned runners in the series, people like John McDonald that have raced for a long time racing tonight. Whether he'll find the pace, who knows, but he certainly has the ability to.
We also have Taipan, another one that could find that time. Apparently we do have Nathan Higginson on our screens at the moment.
Tara purple through sector 1 here too, as we see Higginson down a couple of tenths, it looks like. So he's going to have one more crack at it to attempt to usurp Noah Tara and keep the competition at bay. I'm just following Noah Tara through the mountain. He's looked rather clean, but will he be able to improve through here? It's a tough assignment.
But last chance saloon here for Higginson. He'll have if he's got fuel, he'll have one more opportunity to find what is half a second. So he crosses the line with an 8-1, and looks like he's going to go round again. But the big question is, can Noatara improve on his own time?
Let me tell you, he was half a tenth down at the second sector. So if he absolutely nails it, he's wide. He is wide. That's probably.
He was wide last time on his lap, so it might not be all that bad. He might still find time here.
Oh, it's going to be all on right up to the line. He wants to get it right, wants to get on the power early, up to take the checkered flag. Noatara does not improve, but you'd have to think his time's probably mighty enough anyway to secure himself that pole position.
Well, even his second fastest time there that he did just set was enough. It would have been enough for pole position. Higginson's still on a lap. So you've got Taipan on our screens. Here's another one that we'll want to improve. Mark Davey as well, down there in 24th place. Another one of these newcomers to the series.
I think he's improving this lap too. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I'm quite certain he's on.
There we go. 9 tenths.
Good on you, Matt. Well done, mate.
And Bailey Hall there, right behind him. They're just finishing their laps. Bailey Hall failed to improve. And we have had Ryan Cox as well. He's gone up to P3. That's happened throughout the session that we have missed. We've been looking at other drivers. Matt Cecil, big lock up. He's able to pull it up, but he's gated it on the exit. He's down time. He carried his feet into the corner on the way out, not so much, as we go to Peter Thrower in P6, and now into position number 5. Hayden Link next across the line to P4. So he's able to do a 6.2 in the old VE, Hooters VE. And very good effort from him.
Certainly a good effort. Drivers just finishing their laps now, but yeah, massive time. Peter Thrower improves just to pass Link, for just Link to improve and go right back past him again. Higginson cannot find the time he needs in this final lap, but he's still on the front row, so he can't be too disappointed with that. Ayrton Felipe crossing the line, finishing 10th. That's a late improvement, I believe. I don't think he was quite that high up. He didn't improve that lap anyway, but
he has found time in the session, though.
Yeah, no doubt. He was a bit further down when I last paid attention, and Taipan has actually managed to bump Rhodey down a spot there as he improves on his final lap. Unfortunately, Brap, I don't think, able to, and I'm pretty sure that is it. Well, look at that, Lewis. An interesting session. I think the favourite got pole, Noatara, a stonking lap. Still not his best. In fact, a good 3/10 off it, but a great effort anyway. Ryan Cox in third. Massive shout out. Good effort.
It was Pukekohe's first event in the Dev Series, I think. So, he's come from that where he did have a fairly solid night. He wasn't spectacular, but he ran there, I think, the top 6 or 7, and just couldn't start the car. And, well, now he's going to find himself starting from the second row. And, well, if you're doing a 5 around here on what is essentially default setup, it's a great effort. And even if you're doing 6s and 7s, that's a really good effort from pretty much anybody, pretty much, well, from most of the drivers in the field. There's been a lot of improvement this year. But, there has been a couple standouts. And that was passed some information as well earlier on that when we did have Darren Loughnane in 11th and Rhodey down there in what was 23rd, that Loughnane would gain points, obviously, but it would still be 20 points in Rhodey's favour. So he's got to try and get himself into the top 10 if he can, Darren, and hope that Rhodey can have a little bit of a miserable night. But you just never know. I mean, Bathurst, a long circuit. If there's no safety car snipes, we could really see, and if there's a bust up late on with some Super 2 drivers, we could see Loughnane, really put Rhodey under pressure. So Rhodey's going to have to find a little bit of time, but it still is pretty big advantage to the PBF Academy Scotch Smuggler driver.
Yeah, look, at this point you'd have to say it's more roadies to lose than it is Lachlan's to win. But Lachlan has still got to put himself in the best position he possibly can, and that was quite a reasonable qualifying effort for him. And you know, if some drivers in front of him can make some mistakes, and if he can keep it clean, and those are some ifs, no doubt. But if those two things can happen, he can keep it clean and keep on his pace. He has a chance to finish well inside this top 10, perhaps. You never know. It's Bathurst. It's going to throw a lot at the drivers. This is getting close to the biggest grid we've had all year. So, you know, I foresee at least a little bit of contact somewhere. Who will be involved and what happens, I suppose we'll have to wait and find out.
That is something we will have to wait and see. It's got the drivers, sorry, the teams standings up on our screens. As you can see, HME powered by Kiwi Sim Sports have finally gotten a bit of a break over Luke McHugh Racing. Of course, they did have Ben Hall they do have Ben Hall and Lachlan Locke as their drivers. Of course, Ben Hall hasn't driven since I think round 4 or 5. But obviously he was very dominant in the early part of the season, and Lockie Locke leading the championship. He's put up a very good fight, but in the end, probably going to succumb to APK SimSport. Although you have seen tonight in the qualifying session we just had, Darren Kemp way down the field. Just looking at it here, he's down there 20th or something like that. So he's got a bit of work to do, and Matt Cecil's going to have to do a bit of work. So they should be overhauling Luke McHugh Racing tonight, but the way it stands, they might not do that.
Yeah, well, you know, you do never know, and let me tell you, I completely agree with you. Lockie Locke has done a phenomenal job driving essentially a one-driver team for half the season to still be in second. A fantastic result from him. Brilliant, and who knows, it would have probably been pretty dominant if Ben Hall had stayed in the season.
And we also have, at least in terms of wins per team, we've got a bit of a tiebreak going on. We've got HME by Kiwi Simsport, Luke McHugh Racing, and Flinders Autosport all tied on 8 wins. Will we see that broken, or will we see someone else take the win? You just never know tonight. And of course, we do have Luke McHugh Racing with 4 poles for the year, which they've just secured that award, I'm being told. And then, of course, we'll go and finish off the rest of the standings. We do have Kiwi Sim Sports on 3,002 points, with LLM Juniors Academy still able to call them down, but it is going to be difficult. But never say never. Then we have a bit of a gap to Kiwi Sim Sport under development squad. They've got pretty unassailable lead, I'd say, with PBF Scotch Smugglers behind them, PBF Race Engineering behind them, Flinders Autosport with just Noah Tara there. Good chance of getting pretty close to 8th place in team standings. And then we have WRT Black Drawers, of course, another single car entry there in 10th. And of course, more single car entries, as well as the number of the Super 3 teams here. 38 Racing with Bailey Hall there. And then we have Tevez Shadow Racing. They were pretty consistent early on in the year, but obviously life does get in the way sometimes, and have been unable to attend quite a number of the rounds in the second half of the year. DL Motorsport in 13th with Starrett Sim Sports in 14th. Playroom in 15th. Then we have PBF Academy Bootleggers in 16th, although I think that's one of the teams that may have folded throughout the year. I can't remember. Then we have Yeonju Motorsport in 17th. PBF Academy Customer Racing. I think we just need teams with longer names out there. I think they're another one of the defunct teams, I think, with Blue Mountain Skid Marks in 19th and Team 76 Racing, which hasn't participated for the full season down there, in 20th.
Well, it certainly says there that, you know, we've had a lot of drivers racing this season. Obviously, some drivers can't do everything. Big shout out to the grid again. Honestly, it's been huge showings every week, and you know, we look at the guys from like Tevez Shadow, and obviously they haven't been on a show for like half the year. But in saying that, the half the year they did show, you know, they're in Eastern Europe, so that's a dumb o'clock for them, which is a pretty fair effort, I think, from them. But yeah, a fair effort all round from the development series drivers showing up, giving it big grids and largely pretty good races.
Yeah, it has been some very entertaining races out there, that's for sure. Another stat as well, just having a look at the overall standings. We had 38 drivers poll points, which is, 38 drivers show up, which is actually a record. So yeah, fair play to all those drivers that have shown up. And we do have, of course, I think Jesse Bennett and Mark Davey, who are here tonight. If they do finish, they'll add to that. We can get 40 drivers end up picking up points throughout the year. In fact, Hayden Link, he's also another one. So yeah, there could be 41 drivers out there scoring points for the year. So massive ups to all those that have raced this year. And hopefully they can put on an entertaining show tonight and kick off this Bathurst 500 weekend with a bang.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the final little warm-up session going on right now. We're spectating here, of course. Just looking at Cupid running around. He's been reasonably impressive, I think, last week. I thought he did all right. But yeah, no, he's one to find his feet, I think, next year and push for better and better results, provided he comes back. I'm really intrigued to see. I know it's still quite far away, but sign-ups for next year. Once we see how the field shakes out in regards to promotions and who's going up to main game, there'll be a couple of gaps in this field, I'm sure, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of drivers waiting to fill those spouts.
Yeah, there's already been talk for a number of drivers swapping teams and joining new teams. Obviously, Rody, the big wheeler dealer in the development series, is been looking out for drivers and looking to sign some. So it will change as well next year. The whole complexion of the field, not just with drivers being promoted to the main series. Maybe have we will have one or two getting moved from Super 3 up to Super 2, and then we're not expecting bigger fields because obviously drivers will be getting promoted full time to the main series. But I think we're still going to get a good group of people, and good. I guess even if there is half a dozen less cars on the grid, might even give these guys just a little bit more space and a little bit more time, to themselves on the racetrack to learn and improve, which always a positive.
Yeah, absolutely. The aim of this series is to build up your confidence as we have a look there at Bailey Hall, I believe, doing a bit of a practice start, lighting it up a little bit at the rears. But hey, these hard tyres definitely a little bit harder to start than the softs. So you see. I know myself, actually, I consider myself a reasonable starter of a supercar. I mean, the rest of my driving's rubbish, but I can start one. But the hards, I certainly light up a bit more, and they're a bit harder to start. So we might see a couple of 11s off the start-finish today.
I'd say we'll see a number of them. Another thing to take note of is not only, are they forced to drive on hard tyres, which I have done at a couple of the tracks. Obviously, we do mimic what the main series does with regards to tyre compounds. So drivers that do get promoted or get offered wildcards that essentially drive in the same cars but with open setups. This is Bathurst. You use the longest gear ratio. You only use it at this circuit. So it's going to be completely different to any other start they've had throughout the year. And for some of these guys, it's going to be vital because they might be forced to start in the 500 on Sunday. So it's going to be difficult with much longer gear ratios. The bite point's going to be slightly different as well as the shift point. So I imagine we're going to see a number of these drivers here, Snipes, that are going to struggle off the line.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, that's all part of the thrill of it. And people need to remember as well that, of course, while it's not the 500, this for our development series drivers is the longest race they have all year. You're not going to win at turn 1. It's okay to have a bad start. Is it ideal? Absolutely not, but it certainly will be okay. So, a lot of these drivers, it'll be about eyes forward. Try not to panic if you do make a mistake, but that's the development part of it, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get these drivers plenty of racing experience, and there's lots to go around in here. But, it's okay to make some mistakes. Drivers will make mistakes, and then it's how they bounce back that really can define them.
Yeah, look, and even if you go back or go up to the main series, you look at every driver in the field, and that goes from Luke Rosella, Will Devenish, and Kurt Stenberg, all the way to the guys, that are at the back of the field or wild.
Hello. Yep.
Every driver in the field in the main series has made mistakes throughout the year, and not just one; they've made multiple. So, this series, gives you a little bit more leeway with terms of, I think, slightly less damage. Obviously, shorter races. So if you are having a bad night in one race or bad one race, you can come back in race 2 or race 3 and, go and sort yourself out. Obviously, not the case tonight, but, you do have more opportunities to live and learn. On the main series, obviously, a lot more cutthroat, where sometimes you only have that one opportunity in the longer races. And then, of course, with the field being so much faster, if you do make a mistake, you're not getting that time back.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly gets more punishing the higher you go. But that's the beauty of it, and that's what this series is for. Is getting these drivers up towards that level to be able to be competitive. And let me tell you, the drivers, plenty of the drivers in the top 10 of this field would plenty competitive in main game too. They have genuine pace. This league is for development, and a lot of them have developed very, very well, and they've turned out to be some pretty excellent steerers among the group.
Yeah, they certainly have. And, a few of them obviously ruffled some feathers in the first round of the Enduro Cup at Phillip Island as well, which is fantastic to see. All right, well, we're not too far away here, Snipes. We're just, going to sort out the grid, make sure everything is all good. Of course, only the one race. We may even just take a short break here, Snipes, because, have been talking without a break for a little while now. So we will take that short break. We'll be back in a few minutes' time. And of course, we will have the Bathurst 100 for the ASR Development Series. Don't go anywhere.
The 2022 ASR Supercars Championship is proudly brought to you by Cam Rutledge Electrical, a licensed electrical contractor in Nowra, New South Wales. And Beyond Electrical, specialists in electrical, domestic, commercial, industrial and maintenance work in Auckland, New Zealand. The ASR team would also like to pay thanks to those businesses that helped us over the course of the 2021 season. Matt Harvey Repair and Tune, Smith & Sons Renovations and Extensions, Design, Plan, Construct. Penrite, a better class of oil since 1926. Ryco Filters, the professional's choice since 1936. And Milwaukee Tool, nothing but heavy duty.
All right, and we are back here at Mount Panorama for what will be the final round of the 2022 ASR Development Series. Qualifying, I should say, has been run and won. Noatara smashing the previous lap record or qualifying lap record held by Scott Stancliffe, which was on the old version of Bathurst. That's how long ago it was, back in 2020, by a few tenths of a second. This time, Noah doing it, of course, on the hard tyre, which is mandated and locked in for all drivers at this circuit. At the moment, just waiting on just finalisations for the grid. So we have had some drivers sort of in the qualifying session just jump out, and sort of batch file has mucked up a little bit. So just ensuring everybody is in their right place before we get going again. We've touched upon, of course, pit stops, Snipes. We've got outright speed, which is another factor, but another thing I think tonight as well that drivers are going to have to sort of try and sort out as well, Snipes, is just rhythm. You want to get into a nice rhythm around this circuit, because that's when, even when in practice where you may not have been, happy with your speed in the race, if you do find it, you can even go faster in the race than what you can, in practice, just because you've got yourself into a nice groove, you're following maybe some faster cars, and, end up doing a really good job. That could be something to look out for with a number of these guys.
For sure, absolutely. It's a rhythm track. It's the top, the all the way up and down the mountain is entirely flow of the car. It is how you are tipping it around the circuit precisely, and it is a dance, man. It's a dance to get it around it. But you can get used to that dance, and you can get quite good at it. And some people, there's really levels to this. Some people are very good at it. Um, but yeah, through sessions like tonight, so you have practice and qualifying and a warm up and whatnot. Even though you're on track quite a lot, the little disruptions between each session can still disrupt your rhythm. So you may have had an hour on track and you may have the circuit down pat, but when you have your formation lap and the race starts, for me at least, I need to keep myself pretty cool. I drive pretty chill on the first lap because I don't want to try send it and die, and make a big cock up that'll ruin the race for me and or someone else. So I can be passive. Some people are really aggressive, but it's really important, no matter what you are, that you settle as quickly as you can into the race. Now the first lap's hard to settle; it's hectic, but the you can settle into the race quite quickly once you get past that kind of initial first lap. Everyone's 2x2. That's quite scary. Everyone settles into their spots. You can just find your rhythm quickly. If you don't, find that rhythm, you will find the wall.
Yeah, what's going to be vital, not just the start for these guys, because the start is important, but just turn one. You got such a long run between, turn 1 and 2, where if you find yourself, getting a poor run off of 2, or you get caught on the outside, you can end up being shuffled down 2, 3, maybe even 4 positions by the time, you come out of turn 2 or even get to turn 2. So, if you are up the front, you are going to want to probably get yourself to the inside, even if it's just to defend the position, and then sort of just hold on and, consolidate your position. Because really, once you get out of turn 2, there's nowhere really anyone can pass you until maybe Forest Elbow. But even then, you really need the car in front to see you coming and let you go. So if you can just get yourself to turn 2 without losing too much time, you can then get yourself into that nice rhythm and get yourself on your way.
Absolutely. We all know that Bathurst is actually, well, it's not impossible to overtake by any means, and moves can very well be done. But it is not necessarily an easy circuit to overtake. People will rely on. There's a few corners down the bottom, but it's very hard to make a move over the top of the mountain. Anywhere from turn 2 onwards, like the exit of turn 2 onwards, can be very, very dicey to go 2x2. Will we see drivers doing that tonight, or will we see them play it safe?
Well, depending on, I guess, the pace differential, you can part. Well, we have seen passes at the cutting, but again, that's another one where you really need the car in front to see the car behind them coming and to give them the space. Because if the car in front doesn't want to let you pass, even with the chase and Murray's and turn 1 and 2, like if a driver knows where another car is strong and they just set up for the exits coming down the hill, it can be almost impossible to pass someone, even if you're half a second faster, than the car in front. So it really is going to be about sort of causing that car in front to maybe make a slight mistake and then being able to get them a corner or two later down the bottom of the circuit, as opposed to just being able to pass anywhere, because it's not easy to pass at turn 1 because it's easy to sort of get out of that groove, and then get that poor run to turn 2 and then you get passed back. Turn 2 you can do it, but if they defend into turn 2 you're gonna have to go around the outside, which there's not many passes that have been accomplished around the outside at turn 2. I think Craig Lowndes on John Bowles, maybe one of the few that we've seen in real life. There's maybe been 1 or 2 in the sim, but there's not been many. And then again, like if the driver in front defends into the cutting, it's not going to happen. If the driver defends at Forest Elbow, it's not going to happen. And then, you got the chase, you got the slipstream. But as we've seen many times, it happens every year. There'll be a guy go for a move down there at the chase and they outbrake themselves and lose out a position or even 2, depending on how the groups of cars are. So it is an easy place to overtake, but at the same time it's also a very difficult place to overtake depending on who you're racing and how they're racing it.
Yeah, absolutely. A smart driver can do very well at Bathurst if they can keep it clean. It's a circuit about rhythm, but therefore it's a circuit also about upsetting the rhythm of another driver if you can find yourself. If you can pressure them over the mountain into a mistake, that's great for you, provided they don't bounce off the wall straight back into you, which is definitely a big risk here too. So, risk and reward. Good drivers will get it right. You might see some drivers, have a bit of a mare as well. Who really knows? The mountain can throw us quite literally anything. I think, Lewis, we're actually getting to the point. We're about to go racing.
Yeah, we had a number of people, obviously qualifying, have some issues, game crashes, and we had, I think Hugo may have been one of the drivers that jumped out when we went to tick over the last time. But so far, we're still in the circuit. No, there we go. We've just come out of the sink. I don't see anyone that's crashed yet, and we may actually finally get a motor race underway, Snipes.
Everyone is present, all good to go. So now we finally just get to wait for this glorious little countdown to run through, and the drivers will set off on their formation lap. Here we go, and Lewis, you don't need to tell me. I know what's up. Here we go. Let's run through this grid at Mount Panorama. It's going to be a long formation lap, I imagine. On pole and with incredible pace, it has to be said, honestly, for this division and just in general. Noah Turra, stonking lap. He will be a firm favourite if he can keep it clean to win it, but he will be battling alongside Nathan Higginson, who put in his personal best to get himself up to P2 there. Very, very good effort from him. Ryan Cox will be starting out of P3. I believe this is his second race weekend, and he's already starting on the second row at Mount Panorama in the development series. And alongside him, and equally as impressive, Hayden Link, P4, since 2 newcomers here, taking up the second row of the grid, which is really cool. A bit of a warning shot perhaps for some of the drivers in the field. Bailey Hall down in P5, still a good qualifying effort, of course, but I'm sure he'll be a little bit disappointed that he couldn't be closer to the pointy end as such, but 5th is nothing to be sneezed at either. Peter Thrower showing some pace here, starting alongside him out of P6. He won't be too disappointed with that. Steve Warwick will be starting out of P7, a reasonable qualifying effort for him. I think he's missed the last couple of rounds, round 2, so it's good to see him back out there. And Zach Brown will be starting alongside him in P8. Pretty good effort from Zach. If he can keep it clean, look perhaps for him to be able to move forwards. Alright, Lockie Lock starting the 5th row of the grid, quick maths. And alongside him, Ayrton Filippi with, I believe, a late improvement in qualifying somewhere, or a good improvement somewhere. Justin Cecil will start this race out of P11 with Darren Lochnan out of P12. Cheese probably a bit disappointed, noting his championship standing up in 3rd in the championship, and he's starting Bathurst in 13th, so he won't be too thrilled with that. And alongside him is countryman Luke Yeager. Brap starting out of P15. Will we see him do some sort of interesting strat today? He's definitely known to throw a curveball, and he certainly is like the hard tyres historically. Jesse Bennett will be starting alongside him. Is that his first round here? Or is... It is, sorry. It's Jesse Bennett on debut there, starting out of the 8th row of the... Yeah, 8th row of the grid, so good effort from Jesse there. Matt Cecil down in 17th. He'll probably be a little bit disappointed with that in regards to where he could be. Let's see if he can put it together for the race. Starting alongside him is Taipan there, down in 18th. He'll just be wanting to stay out of the carnage. In P19, we have Rody, of course, Super 3 Championship leader. He's going to want to finish reasonably well. You want to move forward, I'd say, to feel safe. Hayden Cupid starting out of P20, reasonable effort from him. Alongside him is ASR, I don't know, historic controller user John McDonald. Excellent, sorry John. Over to P22, we've got Laszlo Teglis showing up for the last round. Good to see him on the grid. Back to P23, Darren Kemp. He'll be not too thrilled with qualifying down there. Couldn't quite put it together in qualifying, clearly. And Melody Smith starting out of P24 for this race, with Damo starting out of P25 and the final entry and one of our starters. So here we go. We did it.
Yeah, we did have Mark Davey on the grid, but he had a crash throughout the formation lap. It was following through there, and it was a very slow formation lap, so I do wonder if Noah Torres has been trying to save a little bit of fuel. So he was in 6th and low revs, but looks like we're waiting. Looks like John McDonald down there trying to find his grid spot. And here we go. Lights are on for the final time in the ASR Development Series. And Rhodey's jumped the start. Rhodey has jumped the start. Drama already. Higginson's got a decent start, but he's on the outside at 1, and he's going to claim it. He's going to claim it, and sideways action. A little bit of contact, but Tara holds on to it. No further dramas at 1, but big championship implications in Super 3 already.
Yeah, massive. A big drop of the ball from Rhodey there. Drive through penalty on the back foot immediately. Darren Loughlin's lives would have lit up. Higginson has claimed P1 through the start. A good start, and he managed to secure it. He managed to crowd Tara enough to claim the position. Tara had a wiggle off the exit of 1 and now finds himself a bit further back after Ryan Cox managed to get past him down the front, after turn 1. So good effort from there. As we look through the field, going through the cutting, looks reasonably clean so far from the field.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's been any major incidents outside of the jump start, but we've also, yeah, as I said, Ryan Cox ahead of Noah Tara, and this is exactly what Nathan Higginson needs. He needs Cox to be, he needs to drive like Kempy out there. He needs to be the widest VF Commodore of all time, and then he needs to hope for quite a bit of luck. Obviously locked down there in 11th. So he's playing dangerously at the moment, but of course we do have another 15 and a half laps to go. But at the end of this, coming into, let's see, Forrest Elbow there. Hayden Link, he's got a decent run in. Look at the toe. Will he have a look at Noah Tara? He's just fallen off the back of Ryan Cox. He's had a decent back end of the second sector there.
Yeah, he's definitely... the slipstream's benefiting him. He's closing up. Will he be able to close up enough to put a move on into brakes? Looks like he backed out a little bit through the first time down through. Oh my gosh, Noah Tara's gone wide. He's feeling the pressure. Look at that. Sorry, he's gone a bit wide, but Link not quite able to get on the power enough to capitalize heading down to the last corner. Noah Tara in all sorts early in this race. Is he feeling the heat a little bit?
Is he fuel saving? That could be another question. Now, he did struggle quite a lot struggle relative term to the rest of the field, I guess, but he did make mistakes at the chase on all the laps we saw, even on his, obviously record-breaking laps as well. So it's not a good place for him. He can't quite pull the car up, but has time, obviously, everywhere else on the circuit. But already, a little bit of a gap between himself and Cox, and yeah, not the ideal first lap, but we do know he's got quite a bit of pace in that thing.
Absolutely. We talked about it just before the race. It's about rhythm. He just needs to settle into it, and he will be uh, he'll be on form again. As we see Rody serving his drive-through penalty. Now, obviously, quite a long lap here. There's no threat of going a lap down, at least this early. But you know, it's still it's big. It's big for him.
Certainly is. Was cycling through. Did see John McDonald in the wall there at turn 2 as well. But just looking as well, Dan Kemp, another one. He's not really made any headrow at the moment as well. So he's just struggling at the moment. But yeah, Rody, bit of work to do. He's going to need a bit of luck. But then again, Darren Loughlin, he needs to find 5 or 6 positions to get himself right there to claim or steal the championship.
Absolutely, he does. And we're looking here. Peter Thoreau must have made a bit of a mistake there through the dipper, because he was really pressuring the back of Bailey Hall, and then he fell off the back of him a bit. As Zach Brown now starting to apply the blowtorch down the hill. Will he be close enough to make a move? I'm not sure. The slipstream is quite powerful in the game though, so it'll certainly pull him along.
And Thrower won't have a toe himself to really help him, but Zach Brown just getting out of it, wasn't quite in the right position to launch a move. And so, a bit of a lock up, and Throw's going to go on the grass there. And thank you very much, says Zach Brown. Now, where's the car behind? Steve Warwick might also have a look at the final corner, but he's not quite close enough.
Fortunate, just a little bit too far back, but yeah, bit of a mistake there from Pete. He's done a lot of laps. He's had a good pace, honestly, throughout the week. So I'm expecting, if he can keep it on the track, a reasonable result for him if he can just really show his pace. But you know, long race to go.
And fastest lap of the race, Noah Toe, 6.8, but all these front runners in the low 7s, or at least in this sort of lead group here. So still very, very quick lap times. You see, there's a mistake there from Cox, and that may give Tara the position. Just ahead, they're going to go side by side. Oh, it's in the wall. That's exactly Brody Kosecki, Jamie Winker. And, well...
They have made contact there, Lewis. They have definitely touched each other as well. They're still kind of side by side, and Link's trying to buy into this a little bit. What is going on?
Oh,
Cox is in the wall.
Safety car. What is happening? Oh, we got a car. It's just had a cycle through. It looks like Jaeger at turn 2 has been involved in some kind of incident, so that's where it's happened. And vitally for Noah Tara, he got that move done right before the safety car was called.
We're going to have a quick look at exactly what's happened here that's caused this. You'd have to think there'll be multiple cars involved. Alright, so as we're looking at Luke Jaeger up towards turn 2 Griffin, he's possibly clipped the inside. Yeah, he's lost the rear.
Oh,
and Loughlin's hit him.
So, well, that's exactly what Rody wanted.
Exactly.
But the safety car more so than the contact. He won't want to win the championship that way, but yeah, that's going to get him right up to the back of the field and we'll be able to make up some positions again. Although, I've seen looking through, it looks like Damo might be in for a disconnect. He has just disappeared on my screen. That's exactly what Higginson did not want. Now, crucially, will we see drivers pit? You will be able to, I reckon you'll be able to make it home from here if you do pit and put fuel in the car. Will we see people pit? Will anyone peel in? Noah Tara? No. He's thought about Bailey Hall into the pits. Zach Brown. Guys are in the box seat. These guys are all in the box seat. They'll have to save a little bit of fuel here underneath the safety car. But you're not going to make up that time. If there's no other safety car, these guys are in the box seat.
Absolutely. Look, it's risk or reward. You are banking on it going green, but nevertheless you are putting yourself in a good position. You are nullifying your pit stop. Obviously, you still lose positions. You'll still lose track position to everyone, but you are nullifying the effects of it by being able to catch right back up to the field. You know, if everyone just pits in for 3 or 4 laps, if you can stay within a reasonable amount, you're gonna come out so far in front. You'll be so far in front.
So. And who else is coming in? We've got John McDonald and Hayden Cooper in. Rody's gone around again. The prize. Melody Smith is also tired as well as they're cycling through.
Yeah, no. So going back to this is huge. This is huge for Rody. All of that drive through now at the start is essentially nullified for him. He gets to catch back up to the field. Now it's still about strategy and what you do from here.
Now, will we see people just pit now, even though they've stayed out for that extra lap? That is the question, because you'd be almost better off pitting now anyway. Because if you stay out and there's no other safety car and pit later, you're not going to get that time back. So we
Yeah.
will see who's listening to the broadcast or not. We do know that people do like to do that. I don't advise it. Particularly YouTube running on a browser does add quite a bit of memory to the old PC, as well as it can distract drivers, which we have seen. Never and myself, the drivers listening on in the background just get themselves distracted for a split second and make a mistake.
Easy to do. Yeah, I wouldn't advise listening to the broadcast either. It'd certainly be very distracting. You'd hear the drama of the race after it's happened. But yeah, it could throw you off big time, especially around a place where you need your rhythm. And this is that place. This is that place every day of the week.
Yeah, so just looking at that's Rody, or was Rody on the screen. So he was, I think, well, he hasn't pitted yet. So he's going to be right at the back of the train that's about to catch the safety car. But the first car that's pitted, well, at least for fuel and tyres, Bailey Hall, he's just come out to Forest Elbow. He's not far away from the back of the queue. So if people do elect to pit, they're going right to the back. And effectively, the race leader right now is Bailey Hall. Zach Brown is effectively second, and Steve Warwick third. Hayden Coopert in fourth, and John McDonald in fifth, although it looks like he's had a little bit of a wobble, and he may need to hurry up a little bit. But if he's able to sort of catch up, which he might.
Here goes boxing. There he goes. He's deciding that he's. You reckon he'd be listening, Lewis?
100% he's definitely listening.
Penis!
He's done a win cup. He's done a win cup. He's missed it, except he's missed the pit. He has to go around again to. Poor old Pete. He's stuffed that one up. Oh dear, oh dear.
We're gonna.
Just having a look here at Matt Cecil. Yeah. So he's looking like he's going to pit. He's half in, half out, half in, half out, and then, well, not putting himself in a bit of trouble for that.
Yeah, there's a few drivers actually crossing the blend line there, to be fair, which is, it is racing, but it's a no-no. Yeah, you can't do it.
Like, if you just graze it, I understand if you're on your way in, but if you're doing the old 5-0 grind down the lines, not really all that great. But just saying, yeah. So Taipan is just pitted. Luke Yeager, Darren Kemp, Nathan Higginson pitted, and Cheese, I believe. So
right. So now it's a question of hoping that the safety car is not coming in this lap, because you've got a bit of work to do to catch back up. Although it is a slow lap, I suppose, for everyone still.
Yeah,
so
they will catch up, because everyone has already formed up behind the safety car. So Cheese has just caught up to the back of McDonald, who's caught the back of the queue, and Higginson's now coming out of turn 2. So these guys, they've already caught it. Safety car going around very slowly. So if Noah Tara,
carry on.
If Noah Tara is going to win from here, Snipes, he's going to have to either do the greatest fuel-saving drive, or one of the greatest fuel-saving drives we've seen in ASR, or he's going to have to drive the wheels off this thing and break all kinds of space-time continuum physics to get it done, or he's going to need another safety car at a later point in time here, because he's going to be so far down when he does if he does need to pit, if he can't save that fuel. He is coasting in neutral.
He is fuel saving. He is fuel saving. So yeah, this is a strat. You'd have to think, right? He's going for it. He's going for the no stop. You'd have to fancy. He's going to try to get to the end without stopping. So this safety car is both good and bad for that, because people can stop and do what you're doing, but with a bit less fuel saving. So they can be a real big threat. But
the lap time is going to be the issue. Obviously, we do have Bailey Hall there in 14th. I don't think a lot of the guys behind Tara are smart enough to save quite enough. Ryan Cox is certainly not saving fuel. Hayden Link is not saving fuel. I'm just going through on my own camera here. Justin Cecil is. Matt Cecil is. Lachlan Locke isn't. Jesse Bennett isn't. Like, all these guys here, like, they're in a spot of bother. They're not fuel saving, so they're going to have to pit. But if they do pit, and Bailey Hall and Co and Higginson are able to get through the field fairly easily, they're going to have a massive lap time advantage because there's limited places where you can save fuel at this place. Obviously, turn 1 and turn 2, next real fuel saving opportunity, maybe a little bit at Forest Elbows, the Chase, and the final corner at Murray's. So. Oh, as we see, number of other drivers now coming into the pits. Now, they're going ahead of the leader. They might find themselves penalised here. You're not meant to do that. And we know AMS does like to chuck a hissy, and there we go. So, drivers finding out the hard way, you don't accelerate ahead of the safety car when coming into pit lane. And Darren Loughlin is coming into the pits. Is Rhodey into the... Well, has Rhodey pitted? I don't know if he has or not. I think he has. Actually, no, he hasn't, because he's in 8th. He's in 8th. He's done the drive-through, but he hasn't pitted. So we've got all kinds of things to play for. We've had a number of laps under safety car now. I do hope we go green after the end of this one, because it will make it a very interesting fuel race. With 4 laps under the safety car, maybe these drivers will save enough, but I don't know. I reckon they might be a lap short.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an effort to do it, and it is tough to fuel save around here. So, but these guys have the best shot of everyone who has box.
Well, Snipes, I got to say, this is what you want in a title deciding race, where you've got a safety car at the most inopportune time for a number of these runners. Drivers have maybe made a mistake, maybe they haven't. Drivers on varying strategies. We could see a random winner. We could see, Nathan Higginson currently buried in 16th come through, and, his championship rival, Lockie in 5th. He has to pit. He has to pit and put fuel in. If he can't make it to the end of the race and has to pit, he's going to find himself down out of the top 15. Provided the field stays close enough. So it's all to play for both championships here.
That is exciting. That's what you want to see. Split strategies, people doing different things, and that is what we are seeing. We're seeing it with championship protagonists left, right, and center. Actually, heaps of different guys trying heaps of different things. So yes, it is all to play for. If Higo can pull this off, and well, Lockie Lock could find himself in trouble. He really could.
It would be heartbreak, but this is what it's all about. Pit stops. You did say it before the start of the race. A number of these drivers have not done pit stops, or they don't think about strategy all that often, because maybe they do a series where they do have pit stops, but it's only the one pit stop and maybe there's not safety cars. So they're not really thinking what a critical lap is. The critical lap was probably lap 3 if there was a safety car. Lap 4 or 5 in the race. If you could save a bit of fuel, maybe lap 4. But, this is going to be a very interesting second half of this race if it remains green. That is for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And, you never know. Safety cars breed safety cars. That is the saying. That's what they always say, isn't it? Or is that just skate?
That's what everyone says nowadays.
I'm sure we'll be going green this one. I'm not 100%, but I damn well hope so. Can Tara get himself a good run? He's going to really want to build a lead.
He'll still have to save fuel, and his tyres, you've got to remember, they're not going to be all that flash at the back end of the race. He has done some running in them, and you do wear the tyres out a little bit. He's leaving a bit of a gap to the safety car here. The safety car is in. Lights are out. We will be going racing again.
We go. Let's see. Will Tara be able to get off the line well? Will Pete just immediately be applying the pressure? Who's on what strategy? What is everyone doing? Who's fuel saving? Who's pushing? We know Tara's fuel saving. Is Pete pushing? Where we go, we're away. Looks like Tara's got a good run there out of the last corner. He's caught Pete off a little bit, and he's managed to just get himself a bit of a gap. He's locked up though.
He's locked up. Peter Throw's going to get into the lead, and more of a squiggle there as well. So already some drama. Rhodey's battling off into the background as well. They've got bust-ups everywhere.
Absolutely, it is all on Rhodey side by side here with Ayrton Felipe. He will want to avoid making any mistakes. Hall looking to buy into this battle here. It's dangerous. You don't really want to go too much more than 2 wide through here. Felipe turns in quite early. Rhodey was there, but Nevertheless, no harm, no foul. They all kind of fold in, but Felipe with a bit of overspeed, looking to go side by side up towards the cutting. Can they pull it off?
And Brody's going to try and hold it around the outside. It's not a place we normally do. Yellow's up there as well. That's Justin Cecil has gone around and is in a rather awkward spot. It looks like Higginson's going to get boxed in there. Dickinson hasn't had an ideal restart, but he's kept it out of the fence. But now he's got to try and find a way by Hayden Cupid, who is one of the drivers that has pitted, so that is for effective position.
Also, you know, these are now some guys that are perhaps battling some guys a bit further down the grid. We see danger, smoke, people going in everywhere. Oh, Cecil's way.
Brody and Ayrton Felipe side by side at Skyline, and Brody now after that just cycling backwards. See, much slower than Felipe, and he's just slowing down here, letting some drivers go by the look of it. Oh, and there's very wide there, John McDonald as well, but a little bit of a cork in the bottle has been released, but Felipe, bit of a gap now between himself and Brapp. At the front though, Noah Tara in the lead again, so he has got back by Peter Thrower with Lockie Lock in third.
Oh my gosh, there are some 4 wide down the straight. It is absolutely manic through the chase. There is some absolute 3 wide, 4 wide action down the back straight. Rody's settling in, but behind him, Cecil Taipan, who's that Luke Jaeger, Cox.
Oh, he's going to go 3 wide. And we've got Justin Cecil into the pits and realised, oh wait, I've got a pit in this race. I'm not going to make it to the end. So, well, he's thrown his race under the bus there. Now we've got Hayden Link, another one who's very impressive in qualifying, side by side with Brody. He's got John McDonald right there as well. A little bit of contact, but they're all able to live. These guys are fighting for sheep stations here.
Yeah, it is on like hammer and tong right now. They are going hard, going all in, all out. Looking back here, John McDonald vying all over the back of Brody as we see Ryan Cox up the inside there of, I believe it's Luke Jaeger there. So he's looking to push his way back up through the field. But you know, some of these drivers won't just want to bow. It seems they're out to battle tonight.
Yeah, last race of the season for these guys. Of course, most of them are racing on Sunday. But these guys do want to have a good final send-off. Just looking at Felipe further up the road. Cheese has just got by him. He's got massive damage on the front right of his car. So he's grazed the wall quite heavily.
Look, when it's showing that much damage, even in this, with the damage low, that's got to be not quite behaving right. You'd think that car will not be at 100% for Felipe to be driving. No way.
Yeah, just hearing that his right hand down as well. Another important thing as well, the first driver that has pitted on the road, the effective race leader Bailey Hall, side by side with Bratt, but we've also got Zach Brown, Steve Warwick and Nathan Higginson all vying for effective second, with Cheese not far behind. He didn't have a great qualifying session, but race strategy, he could find himself with a fantastic finishing position if he can keep it together.
Bailey Hall there, sorry Lewis, cut you off a bit. Authoritative move past Bratt. He tucked right up into the slipstream alongside, then assumed the dominant racing line right in front of him. A really, really clean move. He is absolutely charging right now. Oh, Felipe, there was it, in the fence again, hard. Oh, and he's boxing. He's got a puncture, Felipe. He's got a puncture. So look, disaster for his race. That's basically, barring a safety car for him, that's going to be race over, really. Let's see exactly what he's done.
So, racing with Hayden Link there. A little bit of a lock up on the way in, so that part's okay. It's just this next bit, I think. And there he is, just locks the rear there. Just too much steering lock, too much throttle, and too much leaning on that rear left, and around he goes into the wall on the opposite side. Not what you want to do, but thankfully for him, the pits aren't too far away.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got still many drivers right here charging. Bailey Hall applying all sorts of pressure right now to Jesse Bennett. He's side by side with him. Steve Warwick battling through the pack as well. He's one who stopped early. Him and Hall reacted very, very well to the safety car. They were among the first stoppers, and you see an angry Nathan Higginson, I'm sure, pushing up right behind Steve. He'll be wanting to get as many positions as possible. Man, this battle pack is really sticking together. There's I'd say a little bit of a cork in the bottle, possibly with Jesse Bennett. A couple of quick drivers approaching him.
They have to be patient here, especially Higginson with a championship on the line. He's got to be patient and not force a move and get caught up in something here. There are some slower drivers around them, drivers on different strategies. You can see, oh geez, there's Bratt locking up. Also got Bennett trying to hold on as well. He's just got to pick his way one by one, and then once these guys pit or they clear them, then he can set after trying to get by Warwick and Hall.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely all on here. Higginson up to the inside. Gosh, are they going to go 3 wide through here? This is absolutely wild up through the chase, but they've managed to pull it off. Higgo up the inside of Steve Warwick. Zach Brown up the inside of Brack. Cheese up the inside of Link. And the battle goes on.
A little bit of a love tap has saved Higginson there. It's not the first time he's moved just a little bit under braking there. Steve's going to try and go back under him. A little bit sideways there. Should have left him a little bit more space on the way in. No need to be squeezing like that. But also got Cheese there battling with Link. Link's got up to the back of these guys as well. Also seeing Tara out front trying to pull away. 4 seconds ahead of Thrower. But both those guys are going to have to most likely pit, or they're going to be very tight at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Tara we know is trying to fuel save, but geez, the battling is on down the back of the pack. Lock-ups, left, right and centre. Cheese and Brap side by side. That's Link buying into a bit of hip and shoulder action. A couple of cars going wide, jeepers, creepers. It's going to be frustrating for Cheese. You'll want to process these cars.
Cutting and well, there's not been a major fatality, but these guys are playing with fire, and out of all that, Hayden Link's been able to jump all of them.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Around the outside of Reed-Park, and Jesus going to do it.
What a move!
Look, pace differential between the two, but you've got to have balls and steel to try and attempt that, and he's pulled it off.
That requires some cooperation from both drivers, so shout out to Brad there too for that effort. But yeah, that's a pretty good move. All things considered, 2 wide through there is ballsy. Looking back towards Darren Kemp here in 15th with Ryan Cox all over the back of him. He'll be defending like a madman, I'm sure. And Luke Yeager. Luke Yeager wide in the back, yeah. Oh, geez. Now side by side with Lochnan. Lochnan's going to want to just stay away from contact.
Again, he's had Taglass into the back of him as well. It's a bit of bumper car action down there. And well, Yeager was so lucky not to hit that tyre wall initially down there coming towards the dipper down there at Skyline. I tell you what, we did see Cheese have a fatality in practice hitting that wall.
Yeah, I can't confirm. He is dead beside me, and yeah, wow, that
is as close as you want to get to that. And then
that's pretty wild, and then it gets a little bit bumpy towards the end. But look, as far as it goes, that was a pretty good effort from the drivers to make minimal contact.
It certainly could have been significantly worse, and all drivers were able to continue, thankfully.
Oh, I love this series. This is absolutely fantastic.
We got Steve Warwick off at turn 1. He's ran wide, and Jesus, almost and into him.
I'm hearing a big sigh from my left, a big deep breath out. He's certainly pleased that did not happen. But yeah, but unfortunate for Steve. He's having a reasonable run in this race. He was one of the early stops, but you know, a few guys starting to push up there.
He's still in a decent position once pit stops or fuel shakes out. But again, we do have to see if these guys were able to save enough under the safety car to make it to the end. So, just looking at the timing, Bailey Hall's actually dropped a couple seconds. He was battling with Matt Stessel. And Matt Stessel now down in 6th. So that last lap, I'm going to have to go check 5 race is not an ideal one. But Peter Thrower at the moment in 2nd. He's had an eventful race, it has to be said, with, you know, up and down, and then missing the pit entry.
He's currently being pursued by Lockie Lock, who've been on a relentless mission to drive as fast as he can, I imagine, to just pull away from the pack behind, because he needs to pull out enough time to stop, but he's just not going to. Without a safety car, these guys, if they can't make it to the
Now,
end, they're in a lot of trouble.
I've jumped on board Noah Tara. He's lifting before the kink at the chase. He's downshifting too fast. He's still going down to second gear. Peter Thrower's coasting it. Lachlan Lock really isn't doing it. He's not going to make it to the end. He needs at least 40 seconds as we see Thrower off the road. He needs 40 seconds. He needs 40 seconds. And at the moment, P15 is 27 seconds. He's coming in.
He's in. Oh, wow. So here we go, the moment. Let's see how this does shake out for him. It's going to be a long time transiting down that pit lane and stopping your car whilst the field drives by. Cecil also in the pit lane. So we're seeing these guys coming in now. I think we saw someone else coming in. No, maybe not.
Matt Cecil also in. But I'm trying to think who else needs to pit. I think it's just mainly those guys towards the front of the field. Yeah, Tara and Thrower.
It's fuel saving. So maybe they think they can get to the end, you know? This may not have all played out yet.
Oh, we got about 4 laps to go. Bailey Hall on that last lap was a good 1.4 seconds faster than Tara. Tara at the moment, he's cruising around in 5th gear at the top of the mountain trying to save fuel. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, look, perhaps without the safety car, the plan would go perhaps well. Maybe you'd prepared and practiced for it and got it right, but you know, you can't simulate safety cars too much. They're just too random.
And Lachlan Lock has emerged out of the pit lane in 21st position. The championship battle is on.
If surely we can get someone doing some quick maths. We've got Hego currently in 4th, and yeah.
Thrower in the wall.
Thrower's fenced it, unfortunately. Not ideal for him. But yeah, that helps Hego massively, as Hego will move up to 3rd from that. And Tara is coasting. Hego looking to make a move on Bailey Hall here. He's gonna have to make it clean.
I don't think Tara's gonna make it. He's trying to lift and coast so much. He's going so slow. He's losing so much time. He's only just coming underneath the Beyond Blue Bridge. These guys are coming out of the chase as Higginson does get that position. He is in championship winning position at the moment. Noah Tara not going fast enough here. This is Brazil 2008. This is Sydney 2010. This is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, absolutely incredible to be witnessing, honestly, at this moment in time. Who would have thought? What a race. It's still got some time to play out, though. You never know what could happen. Hego needs to drive well and just keep it clean. Get his car to the end. He can probably afford to cede a position, but he doesn't want to lose too much. He doesn't want to lose 2. He just needs to get it to the end, though, from here. And, wow, we could see a massive upset at the last race.
Yeah, so Lockie Lock, he's coming into the chase right now. He's got Rhodey and Matt Cecil. They're the next two cars down the road, and they're good 7 or 8 seconds down the road. And then it's a massive 24 seconds to Taipan. And looks like Jaeger's also had a little bit of lag spike there. So he has a lot of work to do. He needs a safety car. Otherwise, he has lost the championship.
Oh, he's been that. He's absolutely lost the rear. How bad is this car going to be absolutely from that? That's good.
Oh, dear. He's trying to snatch victory away. He's done it all season, and could he? Oh, don't tell me he's going to lose the championship this way. He's still going. But he would have sustained a lot of damage from that. That was a very, very bad
Looking
hit.
at a replay, let's see what he's done. He's just lit it up, Lewis.
Oh, he didn't need to do that. He doesn't need to push that hard because Tara is going so slow at the moment. He's made another mistake. As I look at him coming towards Forest Elbow, he's got some damage on that car. His right hand down quite a bit, so he's not going to win this race. He didn't need to do that. Bailey Hall's he's within striking distance already. He's going to catch at the end of this lap Noah Tara. He did not need to drive that way. He just needed to get it home. So now Yeah, Locke will win the championship by 2 points if it stays the way it is, but
No,
Noah
Higo
Tara,
it's all on. Higo needs to catch Tara. He has to catch Tara.
he will catch Tara. Tara's going too slow. The problem's going to be Hayden, Link, Zach Brown, and Cheese. They're going to be the ones that could end Nathan Higginson's title hopes outside of himself.
Well,
So-
here we go. It is absolutely all on at the end of the race. Locke's made another move here up past Rhodey, so the battle is incredibly close as we near the last couple of laps
Tara's gone.
of this whole.
Tara's gone. He's in 6th, and he has not got any RPMs in that thing. He's not making it home. There's Higginson up into 2nd place, but the big question mark is, can he hold on, and can Hayden Link catch him? Because that'll be the deciding factor. Link does look faster. And Higgins,
Oh, sorry,
10 points
Lewis.
ahead.
Yeah, 10 points. That's right now to Higginson in his swing. Sorry, Lewis. Should leave that for you, but it's very, very close. It can go either way.
And yeah, Locke needs 2 spots, we've been told. And how far down the road? So Matt Cecil, not likely unless a mistake happens. And Luke Yeager, he has had some lag problems. He might get late Yeager if there's more issues. And I'm not sure if anyone else needs to pit or not that might get him that position. But it is going to go down to the wire here. We've got yellows out. Tara's gone around. He might cost Higginson the championship here if he can't finish in front of Lockie Locke, and Locke's able to get another position. So it's you still don't know how this is all going to play out. I don't think Tara's going to be able to make it to the end here. I think he's realised that. He's gone fast. So that's going to be at least one position here. At least one position here for Lockie Locke.
Yeah, absolutely incredible scenes here at Bathurst. All the different strategies playing out and how they affect the championship while Tara's tyres are absolutely gone, you'd have to fancy. The battle rages on behind him, and yeah, he's probably going to lose position here to Lockie Locke, who's been on fresh tyres for a couple laps now, so that's a few laps, so that's,
Peter Thrower is in. He's another one that might cost Lockie Locke as well. So they're both pitting. They're going to give Locke those 2 positions. With those guys pitting, I did forget about Thrower. They're going to give those positions that Locke needs to win the championship. Higginson has to win this race, but he's not fast enough. He was only, I think, 2 tenths faster than Hall on that last, or 2 tenths slower. It's on that last lap. 3.4 seconds with a lap and, 2 sectors to go.
Yeah, Higginson is praying for Bailey Hall to crash into a wall for him to have a chance of winning this. Bailey Hall, what a drive. Obviously qualified down in 5th, and he's finds himself in 1st. Lockie Locke, as we see him move past the people who box up into 18th position. Higo, of course, in P2. What an incredible title fight. Who would have thought, Lewis, it would have come down to this? I thought it was pretty much done and dusted, but whew.
Yeah, who would have think this is quite similar to Brazil 2008, albeit without the weather. Drivers out of positions, and the 2 championship combatants, well, one of them's up front but needs the other car to drop down a position. Higginson needs a miracle now. He needs Locke to make a mistake, or he needs Hall to make a mistake, and he also needs a bit of a helping hand with Link not being able to catch him, but Link is catching him. So, yeah, Lockie Locke leading currently by 2 points in the championship with just over, it will be a lap to go when they cross the line.
Yeah, and importantly, he's right all over the back of Luke Yeager too, Lockie Locke at this point in time. He's about to be moving forward if he can get this one done over the Kiwi Sim Sports underdeveloped driver. He looks, he's going to get it done. Luke Yeager's looped it. Look, you'd have to think Lockie Locke now back in the box seat. Unbelievable turn of events throughout this race. Now Lockie Locke's the favourite.
He already was, but now it pretty much cements it. only way Higginson can win this championship now is a mistake from Bailey Hall. And I tell you what, Higginson will look at the results and he'll be kicking both shins and probably plonking his face on the nearest board or keyboard, looking at the results. If he loses the championship like this, all the things he could have hoped for, with Locke being all the way down the field, he had the effective race lead, and he threw it into the wall at Reed Park while ahead of Bailey Hall. His right hand down. He's half a lap away from utter heartbreak. He is going to need a miracle. He's going to need Hall to throw it off the road, or he's going to need a mistake from Lockie Locke.
Yeah, and look, I don't think at this point it's going to happen. Lockie Locke's right now pressuring Matt Cecil. Nathan Higginson just trying to keep it out of the fence at this point, it looks like. As we look towards Bailey Hall, again, an excellent drive from him. He was quick, the first to react, Lewis. We said pit stops would be important. He was the first in, and he has kept it consistent all race. He did not have the outright pace, but he has proved that you don't necessarily need that to win the races. Consistency can win races.
He was very sideways at the chase there. Thought for a moment he might almost loop it, but yeah, you're right. He's been super consistent, not the fastest. Played the strategy right, though. Didn't make mistakes when it mattered. He will win and spoil the party. Nathan Higginson, he's just going to hold on to second. Now it is a nervous wait, but one that probably is going to end in disappointment.
Lockie Locke has just been involved in, I don't know exactly what's happened, but Teglis was in there, and Teglis got turned at the elbow. Peter Throwers got past Locke. Lockie Locke finds himself back in 16th, which I believe is still fine for him, but a little bit of drama still at the end of the race for him. He's just going to navigate these waters carefully.
He doesn't need to make this pass. We've got Thrower making a pass on Brett. We've got a car off the road, and that will be P15. So, barring penalty, obviously there's going to be a number of drivers, and Thrower looks like he's giving that position back. Lachlan Locke will come home the champion. As you see Taipan running wide there, Thrower sending it back on Brett after being let back by again. But Lockie Locke will somehow just claim the title in the most dramatic of circumstances. Nathan Higginson has shot himself in both feet again. But what a championship decider. It had everything. Unfortunately, there had to be one winner. Fortunately for Lockie Locke, it's him. Unfortunately for Nathan Higginson, it's not him. But what a race. And what a finish. Another thing as well, Darren Loughman in 8th place and Rhodey in 22nd. Now, how does that play out?
I think that does it. I think that might be pretty close. I'm sure we'll have some live stats coming in pretty soon.
I completely missed that, so I don't know what happened. Maybe that late drama we did have. So Loughman has done it. This is being told. Loughman has stolen the championship. Rhodey has lost it. He somehow, what happened to Rhodey there? So, just going to have a look at his lap times here.
It's facing the wrong way currently at the start-finish.
Rhodey on lap 14, a 2-minute 49.4. And then a blank and another blank, at least according to live races. So absolute chaos, absolute drama. And boy, oh boy, what a finish to the season.
I'm honestly speechless. That was incredible. Both championships going to the absolute wire there. Incredible racing from all parties. But wow, we're going to have to get a couple of our drivers up here to talk to them, and we're going to have some congratulations and some commiserations very soon. Let me just organize some of that.
Oh, I tell you what, there's going to be some absolute heartbreak and commiserations to a couple of drivers, obviously Nathan Higginson and Rhodey out there. See, he had it won for a lap, or probably would have had it won there. Nathan Higginson, barring that mistake, was faster than Hall before eventually making that mistake while they were catching Tara. Tara didn't have enough fuel to get to the end, and then we didn't see it. There was so much drama taking place. We were focusing on the Super 2 Championship that we didn't see what happened to Rhodey. Loughnane kept it out of trouble, and absolute scenes. Just seeing here in the live chat that Cooper, obviously the car that was stranded down there at the chase, blew his engine, so just downshifting a little bit too hard there. And, well, that is unbelievable. Unbelievable scenes.
Oh.
It's something that we were trying to talk it up before the race, hoping there'd be something like, you know, the numerous famous finishes in motorsport over the years. And we've actually had it. We've had the leader of the Super 2 Championship almost throw it away with terrible pit stop strategy. And in the end got lucky because his championship rival put it in the wall and a couple of others in front of him had to pit again and made mistakes. So unbelievable, Snipes. I can't believe it.
Honestly, I can't either. Yeah, no, it's blown away with that race. Absolutely incredible, incredible scenes. Who would have thought both championships would have come down to the wire in that way, in that method? Absolute heartbreak, I'm sure, for some races, and also there will be some people that are very, very thrilled, very, very thrilled, I'm sure. And we will look at bringing them up slowly to talk to them. So, but nevertheless, I suppose we'll start the talking, and I suppose we'll start it with commiserations here. Nathan Higginson, firstly, an unfortunate time to fence it, but nevertheless, second, a good result in the race, just not quite enough tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Snipes. Yeah, it was an unfortunate moment to fence it at, but you know these things happen. I was having a good run up until that point, and coming up under the tree, it got loose. There wasn't really much else I could have done to save it. It happens. But no, it's congratulations completely to Lockie. I don't think there's any hard feelings about finishing second. I mean, he's kept me honest all season. He's quick. He's bloody quick. No, I guess it's just something that no, that happens. It's all right. I'll get another chance.
Look, it sure does. I don't want you to look down on it too much, because second still is a fantastic effort from you, Higo. Now, quickly, I want you to run me through some of the emotions of the race, if you can, okay? Because I'm sure that safety car comes out. You don't box initially. I think you waited a lap. Were you listening to the broadcast, sir?
I wasn't. No. Looking at it from where we were, considering it was such an early safety car and there was the chance for another one later on in the race, it was, stay out. This may not be the final safety car. It may go to another safety car, but obviously it didn't. It was more my crew chief, Tim. He was sitting in with us, and he's gone, nah, need to pit. There was a call from Rossi that apparently said that if you're not doing a no stop, if you're not banking on another safety car, you need to pit now. And we sort of deliberated it as we were coming down the hill, and then the decision was made. Nah, we're going to pit. We're going to take the pain now. Took the pain and ended up with what I would think would probably be one of my, save for hitting the wall at Reed Park, it's probably one of my best comeback drives from the back of the field, just carving my way through, just trying to be as consistent as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, obviously commiserations for P2, but also congratulations, I want to say to you, Nathan Higginson, because obviously while it's not the prize you do seek, it is still an absolutely excellent effort in a field that is genuinely lightning fast at points in time, no doubt about it. So I would like to say very good work. As we know, a little bit of consistency, and you'll be right there because you have the pace.
Thank you, and yeah, congratulations to Lockie. I don't think I'd want to come second to anyone else this year. He's kept me honest all season. You know, that team has kept me honest all season. Seeing it was his teammate Ben in the early stages, and then Lockie coming forward to take the fight. It's yeah. It was, I just had to keep myself on song all season. Had a bit of a slouch in the middle, but you know that sort of thing happens. I wouldn't want to come second to anyone else.
Well done for your season, Higo. I think you've done a stellar
Thank you.
job. Congrats, man. Okay, we're going to move over and also extend our commiserations to Benjamin Rhodey Rhodes. Rhodey, it was looking really good for a bit, and then it didn't seem to look so good no more. Heartbreaking loss for you, I'm sure. Do you want to fill us in on how you feel?
I'd sat down with Darren and Higo and a couple other guys in the week before this, and we'd permeated the math on where we need to finish. I think we decided that if I was going to finish a race of say 24 people, that Darren would have to be like a top 10 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the math was, but Darren pretty much sort of said that was going to be unlikely, and I thought, possibilities there. It nearly wasn't going to happen at all because Darren was going to be at Avalon, but Avalon's under something like a foot of water right now. So thank you to the clouds for making that one interesting. Look, it's down to me. Like I think the biggest cause of that. Like I'm throwing John under the bus in the chat because ultimately John's spin is what gave Darren the last position he needed. But look, I took tonight too casually. I probably would have been up there had I not completely fluffed trying to let cars through when I was with Taipan at the chase. So at this point, it looks like I've got a thing against Taipan, and I don't. It's just Taipan and I just have a thing for each other on track, it seems, and it's not a good thing. Not intentional decisions by either of us, but it's just what it is. And that put me off the back of the train, and I wasn't going to catch up to the back of the train. So it was literally, I was sitting there doing that last lap, just watching the timing tree and just watching Darren in 10th. I think at the start of the lap, I just went and I asked Rossi, look, am I good, Rossi? He went, yeah, 10 points. All right, get a bit further around the lap. Oh, I'm hearing some kerfuffle. Someone's gone off. Am I good now, Rossi? Bit of a stunned silence from there in the line. Okay, probably still good. Get to the last corner. All right, so I haven't get the last corner, but clearly Darren gets to the last corner. John picks the worst time to have a wobble, and it gives Darren the last spots he need. And then I've asked Rossi, where am I at in the maths? And he's gone, you've lost this. And I just, no, this can't be. And then I saw, DNF, maybe an extra spot. Nope, still wasn't enough. That's the quickest I've left a game and opened up Chrome to check the score sheet. And look, Darren's made a good point in the Discord for a stewards report, but I don't think he's stuffed up this race. I know I've stuffed up this race. So I might lose this by even more. But no, look, honestly, this season, Darren's been pace ahead. He's been pace ahead of me. We've had rounds where it's gone the other way. Townsville, Hidden Valley, arguably is what lost it. At least Darren feels it's what lost it for him up until tonight. I got a 4th on the road, and he didn't finish race 1, so that really swung the points around. No, look, if I didn't pick up so many penalty points, I'd probably still be good. But no, Darren's been the faster of the two of us all year, and I wanted it to be a close battle. I wanted to come down to the last race. Didn't want it to come down quite this way, but look, the other side of the picture, we've got a team's championship. I'm really happy with what the team in PBF Academy have done. It's the first year for the team. We'll be back again next year with a slightly reduced lineup, but hopefully still have some friends in the pit lane. I did actually consider offering Darren a seat with the team next year, but I'm against monopolizing performance like that. And look, we're going to have, if based on the way we've raced this year, I think we'd have a bit of a Hamilton Rosberg situation if we were on the same team. So look, Darren's had a really good run. I've had a pretty good run, but clearly not enough at the end of the day. But I'll always be back next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm sure it was a bit heartbreaking for you. John Wobble McDonald getting it done, apparently, according to Rhodey. Unfortunate for you, but nevertheless, well contested championship. And let me tell you, you're one part of a very, very, very entertaining final race. So, really, really good job to you, mate.
Thank you, Snipes, and great work to you guys this season. You've done a really good job calling this, and can't wait to watch this one back tomorrow with probably a stiff glass of what's left of my Johnny Walker.
All right. Well, congratulations, Rhodey. I hope you do enjoy watching it back. I'm going to move on to Hayden Link there. The reason I'm moving on to Hayden Link is an absolutely excellent finish to that event there, putting yourself up in P3, representing Super 3 category. So one would have to think that will not be a thing for too long into next season. But congratulations, mate.
Thank you for that.
An excellent drive. You found yourself in some good battles. Do you want to run us through some of that?
Well, we had a good start. We stayed in fourth, and then we were hoping to make my way up through to third in the top three where we wanted to be. And then safety car played a big change. Pitted for fuel because we weren't going to make it. So we did find ourselves way down at the back, and so just had to try to pick off as many as I could. I didn't want to get stuck behind people either, so tried to force my way through without getting into trouble, which I think we did well. And then come the end of the race, Noah ran out of fuel and lost it coming down the hill. And that put us into P3, so we just stayed where we were. And if we got a chance to overtake Higo, then we would, but I wasn't going to do anything to force my way through, so just kept it in the top three.
Keeping it in top three is very good. And I believe this is your first race here, is it not?
That is correct. I've been meaning to race, but I've had so many last minute things pop up that I haven't been able to. And finally tonight, here I am.
What a race to do it! All right. So, do you have a little bit of a racing background at all? Competed in any other leagues or anything?
ASC main series and Super 2.
Excellent. Oh, you've certainly proved yourself here in the ASR development series, and
Thank you.
sure if you do stay in the development series, you'll very much be in the Super 2 category. Hey, mate, an excellent debut tonight. Well done.
Thank you for that.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to move on to our race winner for the evening, Bailey Hall. Bailey, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, g'day, Snipes. Bit of a mixed emotions to end that race for sure. It was an eventful one behind me, that's for sure. And yeah, I'm a bit lost for words at the moment.
Yeah, look, it's almost sad to say. It's almost a race where the person who won it is almost second fiddle because it was so incredible. But nevertheless, Bailey, you drove an incredible race. You started out a P5, and then you were the first to react under the safety car. Did you know you could easily get to the end from there, or was there a bit of a worry?
It was a bit of a worry. Everything's a bit of a worry when you're trying to run the gauntlet to the end. Quite often I'm a lot higher on fuel usage than to some of the others I have a chat to. So whenever I'm really tight on fuel numbers, I start to get a little bit worried of myself and am I going to make it? Is it going to be another Gold Coast in race 3 situation where I'm pitting on the safety car on the final couple laps just to make it to the end? It was a bit scary, but I had to take my chances. I knew Vitara was super quick up the front. I knew some of the guys else up there. Peter Thrower, extremely quick. Higginson, extremely quick, and Ryan Cox and the other guys. So I had to try and do something. And when I saw they didn't pit, I had to take the opportunity and go on in.
Yeah, no, and first to react, it paid its dividends. You held your own well again, battles with Higginson and whatnot, especially pushing through the pack of cars who were yet to pit and whatnot. So a few notable battles, and you came out with a relatively clean nose. So very good effort tonight. Is there any particular highlights for you?
It's always good to come across the line first for sure, and yeah, that just to be able to get through a race like that's pretty good, awesome. It's going to line us up well for the weekend of what we've got coming up with racing.
Well, that is good to hear. How do you feel going into the weekend of racing?
we'll see how we go. It's different this week for me for sure. I haven't had a chance to practice really on a setup, to be honest with you. It all starts now. The clock's ticking until tomorrow night for qualifying. Because we've had, Dev Series is on a baseline setup, so we are very restricted on what we can do. You don't want to go and get used to another car when you've got to come back and race this one for a night.
Absolutely fair response, mate. Well, I'm going to wrap this up there, but Bailey, from the moment you've come into the season, you've certainly lit it up. A very, very excellent drive all year, and we probably won't be seeing you in this series again. I'd have to imagine you are lightning, but I don't know. I don't make the rules. Nevertheless, congratulations, mate.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. Look, I'd like to thank ASC, all the guys behind the scene, to get the jobs done and make these events happen. The broadcast team for rocking up every week and doing what they do for all the series. It doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you very much to everyone, along with the racers, for coming out every event and make it awesome.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Well done on a good year. I hope you enjoy watching that back. We will move on now to the first of our champions, and we're actually going to go to Lachlan Lock here. Locky Lock, how's the heart rate?
Oh my god. Well, I thought I was done there for the last half of that. I didn't hit under the safety car, and well, I didn't realize how far that was going to put me back. And I really had to work for that at the end there. I was yeah, stressing, that's for sure. But no, thanks Higo so much for making this year an amazing battle, and I hope that I hope the broadcast was really good to watch, because I tell you what, from my seat it was yeah, quite anxious.
Yeah, your anxious was very much our excitement. It was an incredible watch. Not just with your battle with Higo, but all race. Yeah, so a little bit of a disastrous pit call there for you, Lockie Lock. What went through the mind when you decided to not pit? Were you just in on a strategy and were worried you wouldn't make it on fuel, or?
I was just trying to do what Tara was doing.
Yeah, understandable, and we saw through the end that no one actually was able to quite pull off the nose stop. The fuel saving necessary was, well, incredibly excessive. So, you've missed the stop. You see Higo stop. What goes through your mind there?
Oh, I thought it was over, to be honest. I thought, well, that's how it ends. Move on. But yeah, well, it had to change. The tides definitely changed at the end there. I was really pooping my pants for the end of that race. I was hoping that the more cars were going to come into the pits. I'm like, come on, people, run out of fuel, or wishing for a safety car. But a lot of things were going through my mind then, and I just had to try and focus up and try and go faster. But man, what a race!
I'm just curious. Did you have live points updates, or did you have live updates as to where you were in the championship in regards to Higo?
Nope, I was just trying to get to 14th and praying that Higo was not winning. So
Fair. I'm sure it was very disastrous when he was up the front and you weren't so much, but nevertheless, you kept your cool. I'm sure the relief was massive when you go past the likes of Tara and Peter when they do box.
yeah, it was an absolutely mad race, and yeah, I don't know what to say after that. I just I'm kind of in disbelief, but I'm really happy as well. It's yeah, it's a really good night.
Yeah, well, look here, Lachlan. Really, really well raced all season. You haven't necessarily been the fastest all year, but you have had incredible consistency for a large majority of it, and you've still been very, very competitive. You've always put yourself around that top 5, and in the end, that has won you a championship. So I'd like to congratulate you on your efforts. Very well done, Super 2 champion 2022.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. And on to that, we are going to, well, finally, we've got one more champion to speak to here. Probably a very surprised champion here. Our Super 3 combatant, Darren Loughnane. How you doing, Darren?
Surprised is an understatement, I think. I'm gonna be honest. I was not even thinking points during the race. I messed up the start and I went backwards and I kind of just thought, well, I guess that's it. I'll just keep going and maybe hope Roadie DNFs. I was just sitting there the whole time going, man, I've got to not getting anywhere with this. I just got to hope he DNFs. And then I kind of got involved in the incident that caused the safety car. Bit of bad positioning on my part. Probably shouldn't have tried to go under the inside when he was there, but it is what it is. And then I was thinking I should probably pit earlier, and I had the maths in my head thinking, oh, if I pit first lap, I'm not going to make it to the end. And then Bailey did it, and we came around for the next lap, and I just saw the it didn't come up with going green next lap, and I'm like, well, I'm pitting now. I can make it to the end there, and I just kind of sat and hoped that people would fall off in front of me. And to say they fell off in front of me would be an understatement right at the end there.
Yeah, look, it really all came down to that last lap. I'm sure before that it was a little bit of a resigned feeling. Did you have any live points updates? Did you know where it was all at, or were you just racing and hoping?
I was very much just racing and hoping, and I was coming down Conrod, and I'm sitting in 10th, and I'm just kind of, yep, this is about it. I just I've done all I can. This is it. And then I don't know who was in front of me at that point, but I just saw a bunch of smoke into the corner. I'm like, okay, that's one, that's good. And then I was still very resigned, and I came around the last corner, and I just saw more smoke, and I thought, oh, okay, all right. And I crossed the line, and I'm sitting there looking at my timing tower, and I couldn't see Rhodey on it because it wasn't on cycle, so I couldn't tell where Rhodey was. And luckily for us, Sticks was in the chat with us, and I'm like, Sticks, where'd Rhodey finish? And yeah, he said 22nd. I'm like, okay. I'm trying to do the maths in my head, and I just couldn't remember because I'm too busy trying to drive around the track still and thinking might have won this. And he tells me, yep, all right, you got this many points. And like, all right, I think I've won it. Just, yeah, couldn't wrap my head around it until I opened Discord afterwards and someone's congratulating me on it.
I think I can hear the excitement in your voice currently, Darren. Absolutely excellent effort. You have had a pretty good pace, I think. To be fair, throughout the year, I think you've been very, very, very good throughout the year, and certainly a very fair winner for the Super 3 category. Excellent driving, mate. Well done.
Yeah, I honestly, I wouldn't have been anywhere near as fast as I've been without Rhodey. Like he hasn't helped me directly too much, but there's been a couple of races where I've been lost, and then I'll jump in the server and I'll chase laps and nothing, and I'll get in the server on the night and I'll follow him for 3 laps, and all of a sudden I found half a second here, half a second there, and it's just he's been pushing me the whole season. I got to go faster. I got to go faster, knowing that I'm so close to beating him and not always being there. It's just he's given me something to chase all season, and I've put in a lot of practice for tonight as it is, and it's all paid off now.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. A deserving champion. Champion of the ASR Development Series Super 3 category, Darren Loughlin. Well done.
Thank you very much.
And with that done, that concludes our final podium session, our final drivers' interviews of the year. Lewis, tell you what, just a quick note of overall a very good year, but what a final race. That's one of the best races I've watched in a long time for drama. That was absolutely fantastic. It's been an absolute pleasure to call all season alongside yourself, and I appreciate the work you do. I appreciate the work ASR does, and I appreciate all the drivers as well. So thank you for everything.
Look, I appreciate you jumping in the box. It's been a pleasure. I think as the year's gone on, we've definitely gotten a lot better. We're able to work off each other pretty well. I know in this one I did cut you off a little bit, but yeah, there's just so much going on. The championship battle in both classes. People changing positions and strategy. Just a fantastic way to end the season. I don't know how that's going to be topped. We've had some drama at this place, obviously, in the past with the second iteration of the Bathurst sort of 500, or maybe even be a third. The one we had the proper crew drivers back in Amos Oz days, where we had obviously some late blow ups and drama back in 2020.
Yeah, it got me
Um,
fourth.
And we have John McDonald on a gamepad coming through and nabbing a podium with Zach Ross and stuff like that. And then tonight we've had some absolute bonkers, has to be said, championship battle come down to the final, the final corner, in both classes with both drivers, in each not really contending for outright wins, and the guys that were, other guys are just holding on real down the field. So it's yeah, it's just unbelievable. Great way to top off the season. And again, big props to all the drivers, from myself and from the rest of the ASR admin team, that have shown up. We did say just prior to the start of the broadcast, that we had, I think, 38 or so drivers score points. I'm just looking at the updated points now. We had 40 drivers out there score points. Unfortunately for Mark Davey, he had a game crash. No, pardon me. He was in the obviously server on the formation lap when his game crashed out, unfortunately. So we could have had 41. But of course, 41 drivers over the course of the year have attended an event and qualified. So, massive numbers. Most rounds we had it well over 20. And yeah, the last few rounds, we're 25 plus. It's a real testament to everybody out there showing up week in, week out. And for the most part, having some pretty clean and exciting racing. I know there has been some weekends where there's been some dramas and stuff like that, but for the most part, everybody's been out there and respectful, which is great to see. I do have updated, obviously, provisional championship standings. It has been updated here. Obviously, Lockie Lock wins the championship by, at least according to this, by 20 points in the end, coming home 15th with Nathan Higginson. They're 20 points away after finishing second. Cheese would finish third in the championship ahead of Darren Kemp, who eventually would come home in 10th place. He had a bit of a nightmare in qualifying for most of the race, but was able to pick his way through and get a top 10 there. So he finishes fourth. Zach Brown just pipped Justin Cecil by 11 points for fifth in the standings, with Bailey Hall there in seventh ahead of Steve Warwick. Noah Tara was 16 points away from Steve Warwick for eighth. Taipan would claim the final spot in the top 10 in the standings. Matt Cecil in 11th with Luke Yeager 12th. Then, of course, the Super 3 battle. We have 10 points between the drivers, with Darren Loughnane coming through with a season best, I believe, 8th place. Right when he needed to. And unfortunately for Rhodey, let's see, he finished, what is it, 21st or something, or 22nd in that race. Trying to find out what his worst result was throughout the year. And that might be, no, he has had at Sandown, he had a 24th, which may have, and a 26 as well there somewhere. So a couple of bad results for Rhodey, costing him in the end, but yeah, heartbreak. And then we have 15th for Ayrton Filippi, 16th for Ben Hall, of course, didn't attend the last few rounds. Brapp would come home 17th with Peter Thrower in 18th. Laszlo Teglas would finish just ahead of Melody Smith for third in Super 3. Reese McGillivray wasn't here tonight, would finish in 21st ahead of Brian Walsh. Then we would have Phil Dunny and Damo tied on points. Christian Alvarez in 25th. Phil Boak 26th with Steve DeVries on 27. Brandon Dostal 28th position with John McDonald in 29th. Cracker in 30th. Ryan Cox would finish off the season in 31st, but with some impressive speed, it has to be said. Glenn Miles in 32nd. Hayden Cooper in 33rd. Mike Coulston in 34th. He would have been very interesting had he done the full season, but of course, life sometimes unfortunately gets in the way. Hopefully, we see him back next season. Then we have Hayden Link in 35th. Paralix 36th. Ryan Smith 37th. Felix Kims 38th. Jesse Bennett 39th. And Brad Stevers in 40th. All the drivers scored points, but we also had, of course, Mark Davey show up tonight. Unfortunately, unable to get going due to some dramas. But yeah, that's the driver standings. I will go over if team standings, they are currently a little bit foobar. So I'm not sure if they're official or not. So do take these with a bit of a grain of salt. But HME, powered by Kiwi SimSport, of course, winning the teams. That's Nathan Higginson and Taipan, with APK SimSports on 3,800 points, were able to just get across the line ahead of Luke McHugh Racing. Kiwi SimSports in 4th place, with LLM in 5th. And then we have KSS Under Development Squad, PBF Scotch Smugglers, and then PBF Race Engineering, Flinders Autosport, WRT Blackshaws. And then we have 38 Racing. I'll just cut it off there because, again, like these, there is a little bit of an error in the doc at the moment, so I can't officially confirm it. And plus, there's a lot of teams to go through, and I'm running out of breath. But outside of that, again, big thank you to all that have watched, all that have driven, and all that are a part of the ASR community for obviously tuning in tonight, for racing, and for helping us obviously get these events together, and being a member or even just a viewer of the group. So again, big thanks to obviously Stephen for hosting tonight. Of course, all the other admins here go putting in his work with the cars and tracks, and same with Rossi. Hopefully he had a good holiday these past few weeks, and all the other admins as well. Of course, commiserations to obviously Rhodey and Nathan Higginson, but still fairly good seasons, and there's definitely other drivers that wish to be in their positions in their respective classes. And then obviously congratulations to Lachlan Locke and Darren Loughlin on their championships. So yeah, well done on a fantastic season, and it's a good night. And thank you for the season from myself, Lewis Wenning, and from NZ Snipes. But of course, passing the baton on to Steve DeVries, who of course has got the Enduro Cup and the big one coming up this weekend. Steve, take it away.
Thanks very much, Lewis. Thanks very much, Snipes. It's been great having you guys on board. Well done with the commentary tonight. I think it worked really well, and good to do something a little bit different for a change over here in Outworld Broadcasting. But as we said at the beginning of the show, it's only the start of 3 days of Bathurst action here at ASR. Development series is done. All the attention from tonight now turns over to the same time tomorrow night, 8 o'clock here on Outworld Broadcasting. We will see qualifying for the big one on Sunday, the Bathurst 500. So 8 o'clock here on Outworld Broadcasting on Saturday night, and then 1 o'clock Melbourne PM Eastern Australian Daylight Savings Time will be here for the 3.5-hour Enduro. So until then, and until next time, it's bye for now, and please drive safely. See you tomorrow for qualifying.